Jones from Bessemer Road has been charged with possession of a handgun, a rifle ammunition, taser, stun guns, pepper sprays and Class A drugs. He appeared at Hatfield Remand Court and was remanded into custody. The launch of the new 111 non-emergency call service in Bedfordshire is being delayed until teething problems are ironed out. Iain Duncan has the details.
The new out-of-hours medical helpline was piloted in Luton and has been introduced in Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes. But the rest of Bedfordshire will continue to use NHS Direct for non-emergency calls until local healthcare providers are assured it's safe and effective for anyone wanting urgent treatment or advice. Health managers in England have admitted that the 111 service has fallen below acceptable standards in some areas. A board meeting of the NHS is due to examine the issue today.
Plans for a new bus station in the centre of Hemel Hempstead are being unveiled today. The current bus station will be demolished and turned into a leisure complex, while a new facility will be built next to the Marlow shopping centre. A blue tit has been rescued from the extractor fan over a cooker in Luton. A team from Bedfordshire Wildlife Rescue were called in to retrieve the bird, which was covered in grease. They used a spatula and a spoon to get him out. In sport, Watford play one of the most important games in their history tomorrow. If they gain automatic promotion to the Premier League, it's worth £120 million. Here's our sports editor Jeff Doyle.
Well, promotion has never been so financially lucrative. Finishing bottom of the Premier League next season brings a reward of approximately £60 million. If relegated next season, the club would be entitled to another £60 million over 4 years, the so-called parachute payments. To land the kitty, Watford, who play Leeds, must better Hull's efforts against Cardiff. If they go up tomorrow, it's the first season in the top flight since 2007, and with it cash, and lots of it.
The weather, dry, bright and warm today with a top temperature of 15 degrees Celsius, that's 59 Fahrenheit. There's more news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties. BBC Three Counties Radio. First for news.
Morning to listener, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Come on, sleepy eyes. It's Friday morning. It's Friday. It's Friday morning, and if you have a look out the window, it doesn't half look good out there. Oh, I'll have some of that. Yes, please. Lots coming up on the show this morning, as always. Keen to get your views on these stories and more. Election results are coming in. Been a very good night for Labour in Hertfordshire. Our political reporter Paul Scoynes is off his mash on coffee and has been following the figures as they come in. We'll have the latest news in a few minutes. Have you rung the 111 emergency service? It's operational in some parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks, but health managers are warning it's not working well in some areas. Keen to get your experiences, good and bad. And apparently the Watford football team have got a huge game against Leeds tomorrow. Do you think they can win? I'll be honest, I haven't got a clue. But I'll be speaking to Justin Dealey and possibly you about it a bit later on in the show. So, the ways to get in touch are thus: facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333, start your text 3CR. Or, look, the phone lines are free. You could put a question to either myself or political reporter Paul Scoynes. 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's been a good night for Labour in Hertfordshire. The party's gained seats from the Tories and from the Lib Dems. UKIP didn't make any gains, but has increased its share of the vote. Our political reporter Paul Scoynes has been looking at the results. What are the highlights so far, Paul?
Well, Iain, I mean, they've counted 65 of the 77 seats in Hertfordshire so far, and the Conservatives, I suppose the headline is that the Conservatives still control the council. That was, I don't think, ever going to be in doubt. They've got 43 seats, although they're technically called divisions, but who knows, no one knows what that means. So let's say seats. 39 was the benchmark for full control. Right. Labour now have 12 divisions, so they've got...
What's that the increase from? They didn't have many, did they?
They didn't. They had 3 before. Right. So that really takes them close, and bearing in mind we've still got another 12 still to be counted in Watford and in Three Rivers, which is down towards London.
Yep.
That takes them quite close to their 2005 election tally of 14.
Right.
So still, they're still not going to be the biggest party, if you like, because the Lib Dems will I'm sure, come in with more. But Labour have made gains in quite a few areas. They've made gains in places like Boreham Wood North. They've got Hitchin North, Broadwater, which is in Stevenage. They've made some good gains in Stevenage, Old Stevenage, St Nicholas. Also in the sort of Hatfield area as well. They've made several gains there from Conservative. They've made a couple of gains from the Lib Dems in St Albans and in the Colneys as well. And overnight we spoke to Sharon Taylor, who's the leader of the Labour group on Herts County Council, and she says the party's done well.
Of course, we've only had 3 county councillors over at County Hall for the last 4 years, so it's a great improvement on that already without hearing what any of the other districts have done. So we're delighted with the result tonight. People are concerned about the economy still flatlining. You know, people worried about their children's futures, about jobs and the economy still, not feeling the coalition's making any impact on that at all, and that, you know, the things they've done are hurting everybody and they're not really working.
There's always, in these things, there's always 1 or 2 surprises. What have we had this time?
Well, I think we have had a bit of a surprise, actually, because they've lost a cabinet member in Hertfordshire, the Tories. Stuart Pyle, who you've spoken to many times about the roads in Hertfordshire. We've had him on lots on 3 Counties Radio, and he lost his seat to the Lib Dems in Hatfield, and the Conservatives also lost 3 seats in the one in Hatfield District Council area, which was, of course, the sort of party chairman. Grant Shapps is the MP there as well, so slightly sort of red faces there. Stephen McPartland is the Conservative MP for Stevenage, who was very disappointed at the turnout.
Well, we're obviously a little bit disappointed that we've lost 3 great community campaigners who've done a lot of work with me over a number of years, but, you know, the public have a right to vote and they've exercised that right. We're very disappointed at how low the turnout is. I mean, the overall turnout here in Stevenage in Hertfordshire is only 30%. That's a very low turnout. Some of the wards were down to almost 25%. And that's almost 3/4 of people choosing not to vote this evening. So it's very difficult to run elections when 3/4 of people don't really want to take part.
Of course, votes are still to be counted in Watford and Three Rivers, as I mentioned, and the Lib Dems are expecting to do well there. However, they're not very happy with the way that Labour campaign. Let's hear from Robin Parker, who's from the Lib Dems in Stevenage, and he says it wasn't about local issues.
Over the town, I wasn't surprised that Labour did well. Labour ran a campaign across the town based all on national things, which I don't think is what you should do in a local election. A local election should be about local things. Our campaign in Chells was, as it always is, local. We told people exactly what we'd done, what potholes we'd repaired or reported, and all the little jobs we'd done. And that seems to be what people wanted to hear.
Now, driving in this morning, I was listening to a cheeky little bit of 5 Live, and they were saying about that UKIP had done really well across the country and got quite a few seats. Did that reflect in the voting here?
Well, they didn't get seats here yet. Let's just say yet.
Still 12 to go.
Still 12 to go. And, of course, we've got Buckinghamshire to look at a bit later on as well, and I'm sure the picture will be slightly different there. They have done well. Probably as well as they could have done without winning a seat. They've got some good results in a lot of places. Perhaps in some cases they've come second, so beaten Lib Dems into third in some areas. In East Herts, for example, they had 27% of the vote over the 10 seats. So whilst they didn't get a seat in any of those 10 districts, they have come, they've got a quarter of the votes.
And nationally, they have done very well, haven't they?
Yeah, they've won at least 26 seats so far, and they're averaging around 26% of the vote in the wards where they are standing. And BBC's been speaking to Professor John Curtis, who said it's a remarkable performance. He's a polling expert. And the Conservatives, just nationally, Ian, have lost control of Lincolnshire, Gloucestershire councils. They've retained 5 others. Labour have made some modest gains in the Midlands as well. And they've also, in the parliamentary by-election in South Shields, which was where the David Miliband was the previous MP there, they've retained that seat. They have seen their majority reduced, and the UK Independence Party, UKIP, finished a clear second, and the Liberal Democrats there were beaten into 7th. Wow. So not a great night for them, but across the country, UKIP really do seem to have done fairly well, and locally, Labour have been the sort of the clear gainers, although let's just say from the start that Conservatives still do very much hold the council in Hertfordshire.
These last 12 seats, when do we expect to get those in?
They'll be starting counting around mid-morning, at the same time that the Bucks seats will be counted, so we'll have a better picture sort of in the middle of the afternoon. It was most of the council's seats in Hertfordshire declared around 3 o'clock, so if we work on that basis, they'll start counting around 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning this morning. We would expect declarations around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Certainly by the time that Roberto's on, we should know the full picture.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Oh, yeah.
Still don't know what I was waiting for, and my time was running wild, a million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse of how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. It's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. Watch the ripples change the size, but never leave the stream of warm and permanent sand. So the days float through my eyes, but still the days seem the same. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't tell them to grow up out of it. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Where's your shame? You've left us up to our next event. Time may change me. You can't trace time. Strange fascination fascinating me. Our changes are taking the pace I'm going through. Changes. Turn and face the strange. Changes. Ooh, look out, you rock and rollers. Changes. Turn and face the strange. Changes. Pretty soon now you're gonna get older. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. I said that time may change me, but I can't trace time.
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Very keen to speak to you this morning if you've used the new 111 service that replaced NHS Direct. We've talked about it before, but there are fears that the service is failing and that it's not going to be able to cope over the bank holiday weekend. Interested to hear your stories on this. If you've used 111, now it's kind of had a chance to settle in some areas. It's still not available everywhere in the three counties, but it's had a bit of a chance to bed in. What did you think? Were you pleased with the service? Did you think they did a cracking job, money well spent, or were you a bit disappointed? I have heard stories that more people are going to A&E because of the 111 service. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. You can also go to facebook.com/BBC3CR. 6:15, here's the travel news now with James Worley.
Beds, Herts and Bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks, Ian. And the motorway's looking good on camera. No problems from what I can see on the M1. North and southbound looking fine. M25 through the roadworks appears to be OK on the speed sensors. That's, of course, between junctions 23 and 25. And no reported problems for the A1M or the M4C. There were problems on the North Circular, the slip road onto the westbound North Circular from the Brent Cross from Hendon Way, rather. The A41 was partially blocked earlier down in the capital. That's now open. On the trains, generally a good service at the moment. No reported problems across the three counties. I'm James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
James, thanks very much. Right, 6:15. It's Friday, the 3rd of May. I'm Iain Lee, and these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The first round of election results are in, and it's been a good night for Labour in Hertfordshire. They've won 12 seats, 10 of which they've taken from the Conservatives and Lib Dems. The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a travellers' site in Bedfordshire. In sport, Chelsea are in the Europa League final after a 3-1 win over Basel at Stamford Bridge. The weather today for Beds, Herts and Bucks: dry, bright and warm with a top temperature of 15 degrees. Coming up before 6:30, have you rung the 111 emergency service? It's operational in some parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks, but health managers are warning it's not working well in some areas. What's been your experience? 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Weeknights from 7. Mark Forrest.
Good evening, Joe.
Good evening.
Let's talk to Lynn. What's your story? Is there life after the armed forces?
They've got fantastic skill set.
City Street is great.
Fruit, veg. You're telling me the best thing about your local market.
It's inexpensive but quality products that's grown locally.
How has adoption affected your family?
He always says to me, she is my birth mother, but you're my mum.
Mark Forrest. Weeknights from 7 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 08459 455 555. That's our phone number. We're talking this morning about the 111 non-emergency call service that's replaced NHS Direct in parts of the country. Have you called it? What did you think of the service? Any good or a load of old guff? Well, health managers in England have admitted that the new out-of-hours medical helpline has fallen below acceptable standards in some areas. A board meeting of the NHS is due to consider the progress of the 111 service today. Well, Luton was part of a pilot scheme for the system, but its introduction has been delayed in the rest of Bedfordshire until the teething problems are ironed out. It's been operational since September in Hertfordshire and Buckinghamshire, with Milton Keynes introducing it in March. Well, Ruth is in High Wycombe. Good morning, Ruth.
Good morning.
Ruth, what happened to you?
Well, my son was ill. He had a horrible rash all over him.
How old was he, Ruth?
He was 5 at the time.
OK.
And I phoned up 111, and the first time, which was the Saturday, I was holding on for 10 minutes, and when I got through, I got put through to a call handler who I answered thousands and thousands and thousands of questions, and she said to me, "Oh, we'll get somebody to phone you back within 2 hours."
Oh.
Now, the previous Bucks Urgent Care was always within 20 minutes. So I was like, oh, well, that's a bit long. She said, well, that's what it is now. So I said, well, OK then. Over 2 hours later, because apparently they were busy,
right.
Somebody phoned me back. It was a nurse advisor who then asked me all the questions that the previous person had asked me. So I answered those. And then she said, OK, well, you need an appointment. We'll get you one within sort of 3 to 4 hours. And I said, sorry? I said, but you used to get an appointment within an hour. She said, no, it's 3 to 4 hours. So at that point, I was really tempted just to go to A&E because we'd have been seen a lot quicker. So I said, OK. So I eventually got put through, got my appointment and saw the doctor. We did have to wait, but, you know, so you're talking...
How long had you waited in total, including the 2 hours for the callback? How long had you waited in total?
3 hours for the appointment... Probably about 6 hours, I'd say, in total.
Wow.
Because we phoned in the morning and we saw them in the afternoon.
And in the meantime, how's your son getting on?
Yeah, he's fine.
But at the time, when you're waiting this 5-6 hours, you must have been panicking.
Yeah, well, you know, I knew it wasn't meningitis, but it turned out he had scarlet fever.
Oh, is that all? Right, wow, OK.
Yeah, which probably, as a lot of your listeners would think, was we all thought we'd gone out with the arcade.
Yeah.
But apparently it's very rife now. But, yeah... And then another time I phoned, and this time I had to wait 20 minutes to get through.
Oh,
again, for exactly the same time period. So, you know, I'm really tempted not to ring them anymore and just go to A&E or the urgent care centre, the minor injury centre at Wycombe.
Ruth, is there any chance that your son could perhaps be allergic to those birds in the background?
No, not at all.
Not allergic. So you listen. When I got young kids, and when there's something wrong with them, when a rash comes up, or they've got a fever, or they're not acting as we expect them to, you get worried, don't you?
You do.
And you want something sorted out as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And being a nurse, if I'd have gone to A&E, they'd have said, you know, well, it's not A&E, it's minor injuries, or even A&E at Stoke. Oh, you're supposed to go through the system. And it's just a nightmare.
Ruth, stay there for a second. I want to speak now to Dr. Mary Gibbs, who works for an out-of-hours GP service in Manchester. Doctor, what's been your experience of the 111 service?
Well, it was brief. They started, and I'm not clear exactly what they mean by non-emergency, because in our area they took over the frontline calls for people wanting a GP out of hours, and the triage for that as well. And the people who were calling on that evening, the 21st of March, were waiting for between 45 minutes and an hour and a half to get the phone answered.
Well, just to get it answered?
Just to get it answered,
wow.
Yes. Our call service, the one we were running before, I mean, we were still running the service, but we'd had the frontline phone calls and the nurse triage taken off us, if you follow me. Our protocol requires the phones to be answered within a minute. That's okay, just an answering. You don't have it. You've then got to answer the questions and so forth. And we do in over 99% of cases. But on that occasion, they were supposed to be taking the calls, triaging the patients, and where they felt they needed to speak to or see a doctor, referring them through to us. we would normally have had, in an average weekday evening, it varies, you understand, something over 60 patients fulfilling that requirement, and they referred to us 4. The first patient who came through reported that she'd taken an hour and a half to get through and then had taken 30 minutes to have the triage. Now, the protocol that these people, the people who are doing these questions are not qualified. They're not nurses or doctors. They are trained in the protocol, which I understand is a good protocol, though I'm not familiar with it myself. But it's thorough and it takes time, and I don't think it has the flexibility to provide the first line for people who need to see a doctor and who may not feel they need to call 999, but actually some of them probably should have done. So therefore, you must answer it quicker than 111 has actually managed to do so far. In fact, the system was so bad that it was obviously not coping, and we were asked to take the service back, and so we are providing the same frontline service that we had.
So, sorry, the 111 service has been suspended?
Well, I'm unclear, actually, because, you see, I just provide the out-of-hours service, which, from my point of view, means if you need a GP service out of hours. So it's not quite the same as ringing NHS Direct, which might have included that, but might have been, should I worry about the blood in my urine? I've just found nits in my child's hair. Do you follow me?
Yes, I do.
So it could be things that worry you, but couldn't be considered urgent.
Mary, can I ask, do you think that these are teething problems, or is the system inherently flawed?
From my understanding of it, I think the problem is that it is not designed to take the calls for people who feel they need to see a doctor within the next few hours. It may well be, I don't know enough about it, but from what people have told me, it may well be with sorting out of teething problems and adequate training, suitable for providing advice to people who need health advice, but don't need to see someone within the next 24 hours or so. But if somebody has a problem, they say, I need to see the doctor. I need to see the doctor this evening. I know my GP isn't open until the morning, but I need to see someone now. Or alternatively, and this does happen, I've got this chest pain, and I think it's indigestion. I feel I need some advice about it. That needs to be seen sooner than in an hour and a half, because chest pain needs proper assessment, because, as we all know, it can mean something really serious.
Ruth, you've been through it. What would you like, as a consumer, what would you like to see changed?
I mean, I'd like a system where, if you need to see a doctor urgently, then you're able to get through. I mean, the previous two-tier system was great. If you needed advice, you go through NHS Direct. If you needed urgent care, so you needed an urgent doctor, you would phone the urgent care and you would see a doctor within, at the maximum, 2 hours, obviously depending on your symptoms. But everyone phoning now 111 is not working, and it can only get worse.
And Ruth, the boy's all right now, is he?
Oh, he's absolutely fine now, thank you.
Excellent stuff. We'll go and feed those birds. They sound very hungry indeed. That was Ruth in High Wycombe. We also heard Dr. Mary Gibbs, who works for an out-of-hours GP service. So, have you used the 111 service? And I'm keen to get both sides of the story. If you've had a cracking experience with it, then do give me a call and let me know. But likewise, if it's you've been left waiting and waiting and waiting, 08459 455 555. Right, 6:30. Let's get the travel news now with Adam.
Beds, Herts and Bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. Everything looking reasonably clear at the minute on the roads. Cameras on the M1 aren't showing any real build-ups of traffic as yet, and the M25 is running well even through the roadworks stretch. Some works that could slow you down a bit in Houghton Regis. Temporary traffic lights are on the High Street near Cemetery Road while they continue with some works for another couple of weeks. In Amersham, they've got 2 sets of temporary traffic lights up. One is on the London Road West, the 8355 near to Station Road, and there may well be another one on Station Road because of works around there. And in Potters Bar, the A1000 There's electricity work at the junction with the High Street. The A1000 can get a little bit slow because of that. Speed sensors have been picking that up the past few days. Everything looking good at the minute though, and on the train departure boards heading for the station right now, there are no reported problems or delays. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. 6:31 News and Sport now with Catherine.
Getting beds, hearts and bugs talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning, the headlines. The first round of election results are in and it's been a good night for Labour in Hertfordshire. They've won 12 seats, 10 of which they've taken from the Conservatives and the Lib Dems. The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a travellers' site in Bedfordshire. And the launch of the new 111 non-emergency call service in Bedfordshire is being delayed until teething problems are worked through.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Watford have one of the biggest games in their recent history tomorrow as they attempt to win promotion to the Premier League. If the Hornets better Hull's result, they'll go up automatically. Watford play Leeds and Hull face Cardiff. Playing in the Premier League next season is worth approximately £120 million. If they don't finish second, it'll be the playoffs for Watford, and manager Gianfranco Zola knows it's already been one of the best ever seasons.
I'm flattered, obviously. We put a lot of work into this, a lot of passion, all of us, and to see results like it is coming, it pleases everybody.
Meanwhile, last night, Chelsea are in the Europa League final after a 3-1 win over Basel at Stamford Bridge.
Lampard thought about a volley from outside the D, gives it to Luiz, he curls it! Brilliant goals from David Luiz! And Chelsea are very nearly there now. That could well seal it, and a wonderful way to seal it was.
David Luiz there with a stunning third goal as Chelsea won comfortably to set up a final meeting with Benfica. At the World Snooker Championship in Sheffield, Ricky Walden leads Barry Hawkins by 6 frames to 2 after the opening session of their semi-final, and Hawkins will need to improve when they resume this afternoon. England will name their final 15-man squad for next month's ICC Champions Trophy at 10:30 this morning. Kevin Peterson's been ruled out with a knee injury, while wicketkeeper Craig Kieswetter's out for 6 weeks with a fractured thumb. Kieswetter's Somerset teammate Joss Butler is likely to continue keeping wicket. And that's your latest news and sport. More from me at 7 o'clock.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Coming up in the next half an hour, Watford have a huge game against Leeds tomorrow. Can they win? We'll be speaking to our football correspondent, Justin Dealey, and it's Friday, which means I get the highlight of my week. I get to speak to Nanny Eileen, who'll be reviewing a BBC introducing track. Is it going to be any good? Or is it going to be a load of old guff like the one we had a couple of weeks ago? Talking about the 111 service. Have you used it? Lots of you have been commenting on facebook.com/BBC3CR. Tammy says, there's no way I'd phone a service to get advice from people with no medical qualifications. You have to be registered with the Care Quality Commission to give remote advice, as I am. I'd be interested in seeing their inspection report. Helen says a friend of our family used the 111 service over the weekend. She's a widow, living alone, and woke on Saturday morning feeling very unwell. She dialed 111. Within a few minutes of speaking to an advisor, a rapid response paramedic was with her, and then an ambulance followed, and she was admitted to hospital. She's recovered now and has nothing but praise for the service. We can only judge the service based on our own experiences or those close to us, and based on the response, I can only say I feel reassured. Annie says, when I had an odd feeling in my chest, hubby called 111. There was an ambulance at our door within minutes. Couldn't have been quicker. Well, there's a couple of positive ones there. Ruth in Stevenage, have you used 111?
I have, yes.
Any good?
Fantastic.
What happened?
My daughter had been poorly all over the weekend with sickness and diarrhoea, and come Monday morning she was still very poorly. Rung 111 just for some advice, really, and after 2 rings the phone was answered, and after explaining her symptoms, I spoke to a paramedic who advised me to take her straight to A&E, and did I need an ambulance or a paramedic there? I said no, and they gave all my details and everything, and the hospital, A&E, were waiting for her when we got there.
So how long did it take from you phoning up to your daughter being seen in A&E? What was the length of time?
I would say 40 minutes.
Hey, that's not bad, is it?
Fantastic.
So you've got nothing but praise for them?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
And the person that you initially spoke to, they're not medically trained, the first person you speak to. They're kind of going through a checklist. How quickly did they say, hang on a second, you need to speak to someone with some medical training?
After I mentioned that she'd had S&D for about 48 hours.
Right. And how's your daughter now? Is she well?
Absolutely fine.
Excellent stuff.
She's 24, but...
I thought she was about 7 or something.
No.
I do apologise.
No, she's 24 and a nurse.
Oh, well, in that case... well, listen, Ruth, thank you very much indeed. Well, at the moment, we're getting more points in favour of the 111 service. Perhaps this report is wrong. It's about 75% in favour of 111. Well, have you tried it? Did it work for you? 08459 455 555. The report says it could be trouble over the bank holiday weekend as 111 struggles to cope with the calls. Good stories and bad stories about it, please. 08459 455 555.
You couldn't give me what everybody needs. I shouldn't let you take me when I'm down, my baby. Find out everybody knows that you've been using me. I'm surprised you let me stay around you. One day you're gonna lift the cover and look inside your heart. We got a little bit far we go, but that is a lot of fun. There's no fight, we can't fight. This battle I've fought with me, you win again. So little time, we do nothing but compete. There's no life on earth, no other could see me through. You win again. So little time, but if anybody can, we can. And I'll be following you. I'm gonna break down your defenses one by one. I'm gonna hit you from all sides, lay your fortress open wide. Nobody stops this body from taking you. You better be ready. I'm gonna be there one day when you fall. I can never let you cast aside the greatest love of all. There's no fight, you can't fight this battle I've fought with me. You win again. So little time, we do nothing but compete. There's no life on earth, no other could see me through. You win again. So little time, but if anybody can, we can. And I'll be following you. You win again. So little time, we do nothing but compete. There's no life on earth, no one could see me through. You win again. So little time, but if anybody can, we can. And I'll be following you.
It's the Bee Gees. You knew that. Who am I saying that for? Who else is it going to be? Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. We'll have the latest news about the elections and finding out more of the results with Paul Scoins a bit later on. But now, football, my favourite. Oh, my favourite. I love it. A little bit kicking the ball around. Goal. Eee. Well, I may not be football's biggest fan, but even I sat up in the meeting yesterday when I heard how much Watford's game against Leeds tomorrow could be worth to the club. If results go Watford's way, they could be back in the top flight of English football, don't know what that means, worth an estimated... Justin, is this right? It could be worth £128 million to them.
Absolutely right. It's like winning the lottery, isn't it? £128 million.
Explain this to me. I don't understand.
Well, how it works is you go into the Premier League, and of course, when you go into the Premier League, you've got the TV money, which obviously goes up from the Championship to the Premier League, but then you get something called parachute payment. So if you go into the Premier League and you're still still relegated, you still get millions of pounds over a 4-year period. So it's worth £128 million.
But it's not just... Have I got this right? It doesn't just depend on them winning tomorrow. It's one of these things where it relies on other games and the results of those.
I'm going to put this into layman's terms.
Please do. You're talking to an idiot, as you know.
Watford, they're currently third on 77 points. Hull City, they are second with 78 points.
Boo.
Now, if Watford better Hull's result, they will finish second, and they will then gain automatic promotion to the Premier League and all of those riches. Watford are at home to Leeds. Hull City, they're at home to the champions Cardiff. Cardiff, they are managed by the former Watford player and manager Malky Mackay, just to add some further spice to the occasion.
Very incestuous, isn't it?
But if Watford don't win tomorrow and they don't go up, they will still finish in the playoffs, which is a fantastic achievement, because at the start of the season, a lot of people tipped Watford to be relegated.
Who have you been speaking to this morning, Justin?
I've been talking to the Watford legend Luther Blissett, and he says that Watford can do it this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure they can do. The thing is, they've got a little bit of form back since that little, we've lost those 2 games, which were quite crucial, and it really looked like it had put us in a very sticky place. But, we've got a bit of form back since they had a great result at Leicester the other Friday, which was just a fantastic result. And so that's really set all this up. And, we're all sort of praying that the following day Barnsley would do us a favour, and they did. So it's all sort of shaping up to this very exciting game on Saturday, which if you win, if both teams win, we have to go through the playoffs. But if we win and they don't, then we're up automatic and they've got to the playoffs. So it's fantastic. You can't ask for a better end to the season.
You are a Watford legend. The fans absolutely love you. But on a personal level, what would it mean to see Watford back in the top flight, back in the Premier League for you personally?
I think the biggest thing about Watford getting back in the Premier League this time round, is I think the club's, it's in a far stronger, more stable position than it has been for a very long time. So I think we've got the foundations there to actually be one of those clubs that hopefully stay up and be in that sort of, be in that bottom half of the table that you always just want to stay in there. And if we can do that, we can build on that. And who knows, maybe in 5, 6, 7 years' time, once we get in there, we might be one of those teams push into that top half of the table. So I just think it's very exciting. It's the most wonderful time to be doing it. The new owners have come in and things have happened a lot sooner than everybody sort of expected. But it's, if it's there and you can actually grab it and take it through, then you've got to do it.
It must be stressful for the fans.
Oh, absolutely. I've been speaking to them as well. Some are excited, some are absolutely terrified, Iain. Here's what Watford fans have been saying ahead of the big match tomorrow.
The boys will be quite confident going into the game. 3-1 Watford, Troy Deeney to score first.
What's going to happen at Hull, though?
Cardiff do us a favour up there. Cardiff will win 1-0.
Well, James, are you an emotional wreck before this big game on Saturday?
Yeah, it's usual stress. You never know where it's going to go.
And how excited are you about this weekend?
I'm very excited, can't wait. But on the other hand, the last game had me in a bit of a wreck on the edge of the seat, so we'll see.
I think we can do it after our last 3 games, and I think even if we get in the playoffs, we'll do it.
Describe your nerves. Show me your fingernails.
They're very short at the moment. They're worn down to my knuckles, but...
If you don't go up this weekend, obviously you're going to be in the playoffs. That's still a great achievement for the club. Do you think you can still go up via the playoffs?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, when we string it together properly, and I do think we can beat any side in the playoffs.
Having started the season thinking if we avoided relegation, it'd be quids in, we're not going to be disappointed if we get to the playoffs. And I think if we get to the playoffs, we'll do well, because they're finally getting back to form. I think we'll probably go up, whether it'll be on Saturday or not. It'd be really nice, because my grandsons are season ticket holders now, and they haven't experienced anything like this before, so... it'd be really great if we could do it on the day.
Well, basically, Justin, at the end of the day, when we string it together properly, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We do, yeah.
Do they stand a chance?
Yes, they do. They stand every chance, because Hull's form recently has not been great. They've had their chances. They haven't taken their chances. They're clearly getting nervous about it. So Watford have got every chance tomorrow. And again, if they better Hull City's result, they will gain automatic promotion, which is worth £128 million. It's all to play for tomorrow. Anything could happen.
Justin, thank you very much indeed. If you want to have a sound that, you can give us a call. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Adam Glynn.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
things are still looking nice. No M25 delays on the cameras at the minute. I'm just taking a look near to junction 16 at the M40, and it's running fine past there at the present time. M40 itself is looking clear as well. No delays near to High Wycombe, though I imagine it will get busy as the morning progresses. Roadworks on the A41 in Aylesbury. Temporary traffic lights are up for water main work near to the junction with Berrylands, and you're also going to find some works in Dagnall along the main road north. The A4146 has got a lane closed near Ringshaw Road. If you're rushing for the station, at present, no delays on the departure boards. Whether you're heading down toward London or a little bit further away, everything's running nicely. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks very much, Adam. Speak to you in about 15 minutes. Right, 6:46. It's Friday the 3rd of May. I'm Iain Lee, and these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. In the first round of local election results, Labour have won 12 seats in Hertfordshire, taking 10 of those from the Conservatives and the Lib Dems. The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a travellers' site in Bedfordshire. In sport, at the World Snooker Championship in Sheffield, Ricky Walden leads Barry Hawkins by 6 frames to 2 after the opening session of their semi-final. Coming up before 7 o'clock, it's my highlight of the week. I get to play a BBC introducing track. That's not necessarily the highlight. Sometimes it's a low point. But it gets reviewed by Nanny Eileen, and I've heard the song this week. Ooh, it's a good one. But before that, let's get the weather with Elizabeth Rossini.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, hello. Very good morning.
Hello.
Another lovely day today. Lots of blue skies around. Plenty of sunshine through the morning. It is a rather chilly start once more. We've got temperatures between 1 and 3 degrees across the 3 counties, but we've got a huge range of temperatures today because we'll probably see those temperatures peak at 18 or even 19 degrees Celsius in Luton, Milton Keynes, in Stevenage and in Harlow as well. That's, That's 66 in Fahrenheit, so it's going to be another lovely day. It is going to get a bit cloudier, though, I think, as we get into the afternoon, and that cloud will tend to spread in from the west, so some bubbling up as well. So I think a bit of a cloudy picture by the end of the day across parts of Buckinghamshire, but still lots of sunny spells around. We'll start to see the southwesterly breeze pick up too, but, high temperatures, lots of sunshine around. It's going to feel great. And then into this evening, we've got a weather front coming through, so it's going to mean quite a lot of cloud overnight, a milder night than last night. Temperatures probably not dropping below 8 or 9 degrees for the most part. Quite windy as well at times. We may just see a little bit of drizzle into tomorrow morning. Now, Saturday is looking like the worst day of the bank holiday weekend. There's going to be some cloud around. There may be a bit of drizzle through the morning as well, but it should cheer up a bit as we head into the afternoon, but it's going to feel a bit fresher. So we're looking at temperatures only up to around 14 degrees, but we've got the warmth back again on Sunday, 18 degrees Celsius, bit of cloud around through the morning. That should clear, leaving some sunshine again through the afternoon. And then Monday, an absolute cracker. Temperatures probably up to 20-21 degrees Celsius. Best of those temperatures across parts of Hertfordshire, I suspect, with lots of sunshine around as well. That's the forecast.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Tackling your consumer problems.
Sylvie wasn't happy with the quality of her telephone line. Kate's having problems with her leaky garage roof.
The JVS Show.
5 times they've not turned up for the appointment.
I've still got the leak, which is obviously getting worse.
Fighting for your rights.
I went to speak to your telephone company and I said, look, what on earth is going on?
The JVS Show.
Have they managed to fix the problem with the internet?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. It could not, it would not have happened without your intervention.
If you have a consumer problem,
we can do the same for you.
It took one phone call from yourselves, whereas I've been trying for over 6 months.
The JVS Show. Weekday mornings from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, in 3 counties, we have a cracking show called BBC Introducing. That's what it says here on the screen. So, I listen, with the BBC, we can't lie. Huh? It supports the unsigned, undiscovered and upcoming musicians from Beds, Hearts and Bucks. Hang on a second. I wish I'd read this before. I'm going to read what's written here. If you're in a band making some fat tunes, upload your best songs and get your music heard by Is someone winding me up? Fat tunes? bbc.co.uk/introducing. Now, good things could happen. Some of the BBC Introducing songs we've had get played on Radio 1. Some of them get bought. People buy them. More importantly than that, though, They get reviewed by Nanny Eileen. Good morning, Nanny Eileen.
Good morning, Ian.
How are you this morning? You all right?
Very well, isn't it? A beautiful day.
Well, it's gorgeous. Where are we now? It's 10 minutes to 7. It's bright. It's sunny. It's going to be a fantastic Friday.
It's going to be a fantastic weekend.
Ooh, and there's been a little bit of sunshine this week, and doesn't it make a difference?
Oh, doesn't it just?
Yeah. You had a good week, Nanny Eileen?
I've had a brilliant week.
What have you been up to?
We went to Royston on Wednesday with the dogs.
Yes.
It was brilliant up there. You could just see for miles.
Fantastic.
Oh, it was a lovely, lovely day. Went shopping in Hitchin yesterday to buy some plants.
What plants did you get, Nanny Eileen?
I've got some lavender and things for butterflies.
Lavender kind of went out of fashion when I was a kid. My nan had lavender, we had lavender. As an 8-year-old boy, I would make lavender bags. Kids these days don't even know what lavender bags are, do they?
No.
Wonderful.
No, and then, of course, pop in the sun for me pint of lager and lime.
Good girl.
As a reward.
Yeah, little treat. It's what life's all about, isn't it?
Little treats.
Little treats. Seen any good... I'm getting from you, Nanny Eileen, that you don't have much time to watch television or do things like that.
Oh, I watch it of an evening, but I'm pretty selective.
Yeah. What's your favourite... What's your show at the moment? What are you really enjoying?
There's a brilliant series, an archaeological series that I'm enjoying. But I've also got the Welsh language programme now.
Sorry?
Welsh language programme. S4C.
Pobly Cum?
Oh, that's what I watch.
Are you watching Pobly Cum?
I'm absolutely into it. Oh, I love it.
Why? I didn't know Pobly Cum was still coming. So, why are you watching a Welsh language soap opera?
Well, I was brought up in South Wales.
Yes.
I know a few words of Welsh, very little, but I love it's part of my tradition, I suppose, part of my heritage.
Did your family speak Welsh?
No.
Right, OK, so you picked it up from people around you and things in the shops and stuff?
Oh, well, we taught... they started to teach us at school.
Oh.
But I didn't know very much, but I just love listening to it. And
some languages are very hypnotic, and you're right, I think Welsh is one of them.
Yes.
I wonder how many people still speak Welsh, because it is a dying language, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
Is it not?
Oh, no, it isn't.
Oh, is it?
No.
I'm going to upset them as well. Is it on the increase?
It is, yes. Very gently, but it is definitely on the increase.
Well, let me put this out, because this is what we can do on the BBC. If there are any Welsh speakers listening to this show right now, 08459 455 555, come on and entertain us with your Welsh language, because it's a lovely sound, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Now, Nanny Eileen.
Yes.
Let's be honest, we've had some tracks on here that have been thoroughly rotten. And you're too polite to say it, but I'm going to say it. thoroughly rotten.
Oh, but last week's was brilliant.
Wasn't it good?
Yes.
Last week's was a corker.
Yes. Has your son chosen this week?
Well, my son has listened to this one.
Yes.
And he said it made him feel happy, sad and brave.
Lovely.
He kind of says that about all songs, happy, sad and brave, and sometimes he adds cootie and piratey at the end.
Yeah, I like that.
I like Cootie as well, he's a good boy. So we both listened to this the other week, and we both had a little boogie in our living room.
Good.
And he enjoyed it. So I don't want to bias you, but I think you might enjoy it as well.
OK.
It's called Don't You Wonder by Jess Harvey from Hertfordshire. Should we have a listen?
Go for it.
Here we go.
Come on up, baby, give me a shout. Still trying to think what it's about, trying to figure it out. Do up your laces, come as close. I don't wanna look round to find you tangled in my hair. Yeah, I mess with my doubts. I love for you some tea, a slice of homemade cake, but I know that it's no good, no way you're not gonna stay. Oh, you'll soon be on your way with your Hollister spray, and I'll be lying in my onesie drinking out grey for the rest of the day. So you push me outside to the back of your mind, where you know that you can find me at convenient times. When you'll unwrap me from a dusty tape to cardboard box, push me back in just a second, something better knocks. But when I sit and shout away, all alone on my shelf, it appears that you'll be busy thinking about someone else. But I reckon there's a shy little part of your mind wondering, always wondering about you and I. So don't you wonder why the sky is blue? Don't you wonder why the birds all sing? Don't you wonder where the pigs can fly? Don't you wonder about you and I? Don't you wonder why you green means slow? Don't you wonder why the people kiss? Don't you wonder why I caught your eye? Don't you wonder about you and I? Don't you wonder, baby? So you shoulda, woulda, coulda, it goes around in my head and reminds me of the clever things that I could have said. I'm an A-grade English student and I got a sharp tongue. Bet you take all my words, yes, you puncture my lungs. Now become an incoherent mess. Better reckon that you found attractiveness in my helplessness. And the shy little part of your mind starts to wonder about you and I. So don't you wonder why the sky is blue? Don't you wonder why the birds all sing? Don't you wonder where the pigs can fly? Don't you wonder about you and I? Don't you wonder why green means go? Don't you wonder why the people kiss? Don't you wonder why I caught your eye? Don't you wonder about you and I? Don't you wonder why? So don't make me wait. I don't like to wait. Oh, please don't make me wait. 'Cause I hate to wait and have to wonder whether you wonder about you and I. So don't you wonder why the sky is blue? Don't you wonder why the birds all sing? Don't you wonder where the pigs can fly? Don't you wonder about you and I? Don't you wonder why green means go? Don't you wonder why the people kiss? Don't you wonder why I caught your eye? Don't you wonder about you and I? Don't you wonder why the sky is blue? Don't you wonder why the birds all sing? Don't you wonder where the pigs can fly? Don't you wonder about you and I?
Right, that's Don't You Wonder by Jess Harvey. She's from Hertfordshire.
Don't you wonder why the people kiss? Don't you wonder why I caught your eye?
I like songs with lots of words in. I like songs with too many words in. I don't mind people showing off in pop. I think it's great.
Don't you wonder, baby?
But my opinion is not the opinion that counts. You know that. Jess Harvey isn't sat at home drinking endless cups of coffee and chewing her fingernails, wondering what that bloke who used to present the 11 o'clock show thinks. No, she's concerned about the voice of only one woman. Nanny Eileen, what did you think?
11 out of 10, definitely.
Oh, you've given it a mathematical impossibility. That's how good it was. Brilliant.
I loved it.
Tell me, how did it make you feel, Eileen?
Well, I've been doing a little boogie around here, houseing on the telephone, yes.
I tell you why I enjoyed
Very uplifting.
Uplifting. Exactly the word I was going to use. And that's, I can imagine, driving through town with you in a convertible car, top down, the sunshine out, you with, not a hairnet, with a scarf wrapped around your head, some Liz Taylor sunglasses, and listening to that on the stereo.
Brilliant.
It's sunny, it's bouncy, she's got a gorgeous voice.
And the backing music was brilliant.
It's really good.
You couldn't fault it, could you?
You couldn't fault it, could you?
No.
We've had a couple of good weeks in a row.
Yes.
So if you had to, just because I know that Jess will be listening, if you had to sum up that song in one word, Nanny Eileen, what would it be?
Well, just uplifting, cheerful, bouncy.
Well, hang on, that's 3 words.
Yeah, well, yes.
What are you doing this weekend, Eileen? What have you got on?
Well, I'm going circle dancing most of the day on Saturday in St Albans.
Wonderful.
With friends, which I know will be brilliant.
Yeah.
Having a day of rest, hopefully on Sunday. And then Monday, we are off to Hastings for Jack in the Green.
Jack in the Green?
Yes.
What's that?
Well, it's very English, British festival. It's Morris dancing.
Oh, you speak of my language.
It's Border Morris, which is naughty and fun.
Oh.
All through the town, and it's just fun.
Is it kind of like a May Day sort of thing?
It is very much a May Day sort of thing, yes.
Eileen, have a fantastic weekend. It's always lovely to talk to you, my dear. Take care.
The weather's going to be good. Thank you,
Wonderful.
Elizabeth.
See you later on. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nanny Eileen. She liked it, Jess. You've got a good weekend ahead of you. Nanny Eileen liked it. Literally, the highlight of my week is speaking to that woman. Thank you, Eileen.
Beds, hearts and bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Things looking really good out there on the road still this morning. It's quite a quiet start. I suspect a lot of people have decided to take today off because of the long weekend, and it's looking good on all the major routes. If you still have to commute to work this morning, M25 is running very clearly. No M1 or A1M delays. Roadworks that could slow you down potentially in Buckingham. They've got temporary traffic lights along the London Road, the A413 near to the Total roundabout, and just very near there as well, they've got some temporary lights on the A421. The A5 in Fenny Stratford, they continue to do the improvement works at the Little Chef roundabout. They're going to be adding permanent traffic lights to that junction, and again that can slow things down a little. Trains, well, they're looking good. No delays at all this morning. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. Speech in 15 minutes, that is. Right, coming up in the next hour, we'll give you all the latest election results with our political correspondent, Paul Scoins. All that and more after the news with Catherine Boyle.
Getting beds, hearts and bucks talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning, it's 7 o'clock. The headlines: Labour make gains in Hertfordshire, Luton man jailed for arson, and crunch time for the Hornets.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The first round of election results are in, and it's been a good night for Labour in Hertfordshire. The party's gained seats from the Conservatives and from the Lib Dems. Our political reporter Paul Scoynes has the results so far.
Labour made gains in 10 seats, taking divisions from the Lib Dems and the Conservatives, including the Cabinet member for Rhodes, Stuart Pyle, who lost his seat in Hatfield South. The Tories still have the majority on the council, with 43 seats so far, more than the half needed for full control. UKIP didn't make any gains, but increased its share of the vote. 12 seats are still to be counted, and votes will begin to be counted in Buckinghamshire later this morning.
The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a travellers' site in Bedfordshire. Tommy Connors and his 3 sons deny the charges at Luton Crown Court. A Luton man's been found guilty of setting fire to a multi-occupancy house in the town last June. 29-year-old Owen Flynn was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison after setting 2 mattresses alight inside the property on Hitchin Road. Luton Crown Court heard Flynn had been drinking heavily at the time and claimed to have little or no recollection of how or why he did it. The new 111 non-emergency health helpline will not be rolled out across Bedfordshire until a number of teething problems are addressed. The service is being piloted in Luton, but managers are resisting introducing it for the rest of the county in its present state. 111 is already up and running in Hertfordshire and Buckinghamshire. Ruth from High Wycombe told Iain Lee what happened when she tried to use the service when her 5-year-old developed a rash.
I was holding on for 10 minutes. I got put through to a call handler who I answered thousands and thousands and thousands of questions. And she said to me, we'll get somebody to phone you back within 2 hours. Over 2 hours later, somebody phoned me back. It was a nurse advisor who then asked me all the questions that the previous person had asked me. And then she said, OK, well, you need an appointment. We'll get you one within sort of 3 to 4 hours.
Plans to build a new bus station in the centre of Hemel Hempstead are being unveiled today. The current bus station will be demolished and turned into a leisure complex, as Lee Agnew reports.
The new bus interchange would be built next to the Marlow shopping centre on Bridge Street, with the existing taxi rank relocated. The current bus station site and Market Square will be redeveloped, including a multi-screen cinema and restaurants. The new bus station will be completed by September next year, with the leisure complex finished in 2015.
In sport, Watford have one of their biggest games of their recent history tomorrow. The Hornets play Leeds, and if they bet a Hull's result against Cardiff, they'll win promotion to the Premier League and net around £120 million. The weather, dry, bright and warm with a top temperature of 15 degrees Celsius, that's 59 degrees Fahrenheit. There's more news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties. BBC Three Counties Radio. First for news.
Hey, Chuck. Hey, Chuck, how you doing, Chuck? You right, Chuck?
Yes, hello.
Hello, Chuck. Paul, do you have a go? This is great fun. This is Paul Scoynes, political reporter, is here with me. You have a go. Go on.
All right, there. What?
Listen, don't you start.
Bad tap.
I'm not from Yorkshire.
Oh, hang on a minute. Ooh. There was a big report yesterday about bullying at the BBC.
Oh, yeah.
They're actually clamping down on this kind of stuff.
I'm writing a report of my own.
Hey, come on, it's a bit of banter. Sorry, I forgot. Big report yesterday. We can't do that anymore. We cannot do that anymore. Oops. It's a bit of fun. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots coming up between now and 8 o'clock, and not bullying at all in the workplace. We're not making any light of that. It's a very, very serious issue indeed. Coming up, we got joined by Paul Scoynes, the political reporter, to talk about the election results. It's been a good night for Labour in Hertfordshire. I'll be speaking to Sharon Taylor, the leader of the Labour group on Herts County Council, to find out why. Also, can I ask, did you bother to vote? If not, why? I'm always curious. No, it's not a judgment at all. But I'm always curious to know why people decide not to vote. 08459 455 555. The 111 emergency service is in the news. Have you rung it? Well, it's operational in some parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks, but health managers are warning it's not working well in some areas. Well, what's been your experience? It's been pretty mixed on the phones. The majority of people actually saying, well, it's pretty darn good. It's worked for them. Well, a Stevenage GP will be on this programme to explain why he's pleased with the way the service is being run. And the Mayor of Milton Keynes has had her chauffeur-driven car stolen from outside her house. The driver was helping Katrina Morris put on her chain. Justin Dealey's on his way to meet her to find out what happened and possibly help her put on her chain. Facebook.com/BBC3CR is the Facebook page. You can text 81333, start your text 3CR, or you can give us a call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Been a good night for Labour in Hertfordshire. The party has gained seats from the Tories and from the Lib Dems. UKIP didn't make any gains, but increased its share of the vote. Well, our political reporter, Paul Scoynes, you've been looking at the results. The highlights so far, please.
Yes, so we've had 65 of the 77 seats counted so far, Iain. The Conservatives are still in control. I think we should probably say that. They've got 43 seats so far. That's 4 more than the sort of 39 benchmark they needed for full control. Labour have 12 divisions. They had 3
Divisions mean seats, doesn't it? For idiots like me,
sorry.
yes. No, it's fine.
No, that's a fair point. It's quite a sort of a technical term. So they've got 12 seats, basically. They had 3 before. Slightly down, although we've still got, as we say, 12 to go, but slightly down on their 2005 figures. But I think Labour will feel slightly chipper about that. So, overall, they will say they've had a good night's man.
Any surprises in this?
Well, 1 or 2, actually. I think the loss for the Conservatives of the cabinet member Stuart Pyle, who you've spoken to many times about the roads in Hertfordshire. He was a cabinet member for a long time. He lost his seat to the Lib Dems in Hatfield. They also lost 3 seats altogether in Welwyn Hatfield district sort of council area, which is of course the home to the MP Grant Shapps, who's the chairman of the Conservative Party. So they've also been wiped out in Stevenage as well. They had 3 seats there, and they've got a Conservative MP there as well. But they no longer have any sort of cabinet, they no longer have any county council members there. We still, expect to see some possible gains for Lib Dems in Watford and Three Rivers, where they're very strong there as well. So we will see those when they start counting later today.
What about UKIP? I was hearing on the way in that they've done brilliantly across the country. What about the 3 counties?
Well, I think they've done well, to be honest. They've done as well as they could do without actually winning a seat.
Right.
They've not won any of the seats here, so but they have done well in the polling, or not polling. They've done well in the actual counting. So, for example, in the East Herts area, they had 27% of the votes over 10 seats, and across all of Hertfordshire, if you look at their share of the vote, it's around 20%. So we will wait to see where they go in Buckinghamshire, because that's where they've really been throwing.
I guess although they've not got any seats, we're getting 27% of the vote. It's hard now, isn't it, to categorise them as a protest vote, as people have done in the past. This shows that they have a potential significance in future elections.
Well, they certainly have a role to play in them, and whether or not that's splitting the Conservative vote, maybe taking some of the votes away from the main parties, it will be interesting to see. I think it's certainly fair to put the question, and you will, I'm sure, later on when Nigel Farage is on the programme, that they still are a protest party, and he accepts that certainly on some subjects, like high-speed rail in Buckinghamshire, they very much are a protest party. Of he told us in the run-up to the election that on other issues they say that they're not, that they are speaking, the sort of soundings that people want to hear.
We'll be speaking to Mr Farage a little bit later on the show. Paul, stay with me, because you may want to chip in on this. We're joined now by Sharon Taylor, leader of the Labour group on Herts County Council, as well as Stephen Giles Medhurst, leader of the Lib Dems in Hertfordshire. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sharon, let's start with you first. A good night for you.
Yes, it certainly was. We had an awful year in 2009, and we've picked up some very significant gains this year. So we've got some more results to come this morning, as you all know. Can I just quickly say a thank you to the voters, but also to the election staff, hundreds of election staff around the county, working very hard yesterday and running the elections as efficiently as they always do in Hertfordshire.
Do we have any idea what the turnout was yet?
I know the turnout for Stevenage, which was just above the 30% mark, and of course we'd always want to see turnout higher. It's disappointing. These are very important services delivered by the county council, and it would be great if the turnout was higher, but the Stevenage one was about 30%.
2005, you had 14 seats. You're getting close to that. You may still reach that. Good times, it would appear. Why did you do so well, do you think?
Well, I think people were wanting to cast a verdict on the Tory-led government at national level. They think the government's taking Britain in the wrong direction. They see the economy flatlining, that the prices are rising faster than wages. I think they feel that government's out of touch with the impact their policies are having on ordinary people. But I think there are lots of big local issues as well, feeling that the Tory county council are just not listening to the things people are concerned about: potholes, uneven paths, street lighting, and some big issues, in areas like St Albans with the rail freight terminal and the incinerator at Hatfield.
Well, I mean, actually, that's something to put to Stephen, isn't it? Because you managed to take a seat from the cabinet member in charge of the roads, and you made some big gains in that area where the incinerator's planned for.
That's right, and congratulations to Paul for his successful campaign in Hatfield South. But like Sharon, I'd like to echo and thank the staff that worked very hard yesterday. Equally disappointed the turnout appears to be down across the county compared to last time. And whilst Labour had made gains, what is interesting, they hadn't made gains in areas where they had county councillors up to 2005, like Hemel Hempstead. Not a single Labour council elected this time. We held on against Labour tide, so to speak, in Stevenage, with an increased majority in the Chels division.
You did lose 2 seats to Labour. Is that disappointing?
It is disappointing. Obviously disappointing to lose any council seats when you've got hard-working county councillors. But actually, if you look at the results from last May, both these seats would have been predicted as Labour gains, as indeed would Hemel St Paul's, Hanside and Peartree and Chels, all held with increased majorities against Labour. So it's not a Labour surge tide. Where we've got hard-working councillors representing the local community, raising the issues you've just mentioned about potholes, or in the case of Hatfield South, the Tories pushing forward with the incinerator, despite massive public rejection of that plan, have seen us do well.
In fact, the Tories are fighting each other on both the rail freight terminal and the incinerator. We've got Tories at national level fighting against Tories at local level. They can't seem to agree what it is, how they're taking either of those projects forward, and I think that's caused them significant damage in the county.
Paul, you had a question.
What are you going to do with the waste then, if both of you are opposing the incinerators? Because landfill rates are going up by a lot, and you're going to have to find some way of covering that.
That's right.
Sharon, you start this.
We can't carry on using landfill to deal with waste, but there are very good alternative technology solutions which I believe we should have fully explored before we looked at an incinerator at Hatfield.
Stephen?
I'd echo that, but what is very clear was the new Barnfield site in Hatfield was completely the wrong site, displacing the special school, the library facilities there, completely the wrong location for it, and we've echoed that all the way through, and it's been an all-party campaign at local level against it, it's fair to say, but the county Conservatives, which have a majority and unfortunately still have a majority, have pushed forward with these plans with not looking at alternatives and not looking at alternative sites, and I think the results being shown in the ballot box, they've been rejected in that division.
Can I just say as well, it's important that we take a position in Hertfordshire that deals with Hertfordshire's waste. What it looked as though that incinerator had been designed to do was to deal with waste from outside Hertfordshire. I don't think Hertfordshire people are prepared to tolerate that.
Now, the big talking point is UKIP doing very well across the country. They did pretty well in the county. Although they didn't get any seats, they received around 25% of the vote. What does that tell us, do you think, Stephen?
There's clearly a big protest vote out there where I've come across UKIP on the doorstep. It's not actually about county services or local services. It is about what they're saying nationally, and to some extent some of their scaremongering, what they're putting out nationally, that people are voting as a complete protest. Well, you're doing a good job locally. We're voting UKIP because we don't want any immigrants in the country. Everyone's stealing our services. All this sort of misnomer about UKIP, that they would deliver better services for the county. They didn't even have a county manifesto saying what they would do and how they would cost that out. It is a protest. We have to listen to what voters are saying and take that on board. But what is clear is that they haven't won any seats in the county. Okay, we've got some results still to come in Three Rivers and Watford, where we do expect to do very well, I have to say. And we expect to hold the 6 divisions we currently hold there, which will still make us the official opposition, as I believe it. But what is the case is that they have certainly taken probably more votes from the Conservatives than they have from the other parties, but we have to listen to what voters are saying and why they've decided to vote, and indeed why they have decided not to vote. I think that is a worrying trend, particularly when people have postal votes and don't use them.
Sharon, you've got 30 seconds. What's your view on UKIP's success?
Well, I think there are lessons for all three of the major parties. I think it further weakens Cameron's leadership, and I think at the general election people will be looking for a government with an economic strategy to get the country back on its feet. I don't think UKIP have got that.
Sharon Taylor, leader of the Labour Group on Herts County Council, and Stephen Giles Metters, leader of the Lib Dems in Hertfordshire. Thank you very much. Paul Scoynes will be speaking to you a bit later on, I think, as well. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. If you didn't vote yesterday, could you give me a call and let me know why? Not a judgment in the slightest. I'm always just curious as to why people make the decision not to vote. Maybe you couldn't be bothered. Maybe you viewed it as a protest. Whatever the reason, give me a call. 084, if you can be bothered, 08459 455 555. 7:15, Travel News now, Adam Glynn.
Herts and Bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's still looking like a quiet one out there. The M25 slowing a little bit, but nothing compared to a normal rush hour morning. Anti-clockwise, busy as you come into the roadworks at Enfield Junction 25, and then out the other end of the roadworks. Once you get round to Junction 17 at Maple Cross, you'll find it slow from there through to the M40. M40 on camera's looking fine, though. A1 in Roxton, as you come down toward the Black Cat roundabout, is busy. The A421's doing OK around there, though. And one problem near to Stansted Airport. The A120 has been partially blocked by a two-vehicle accident. This is where it meets the M11 at Junction 8A, very close to the airport. Public transport looking at the trains for you, and the departure board still showing no reported problems or delays. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. Just to flag up, as Paul mentioned earlier, Nigel Farage will be on the show a little bit later on. Should definitely be worth listening to. Right, 7:16, it's Friday, the 3rd of May. I'm Iain Lee, and these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Counting in the local elections for Hertfordshire will resume this morning, with initial results showing significant gains for Labour, while the Conservatives retain control. The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a Travellers site in Bedfordshire. In sport, Chelsea will meet Benfica in the Europa League final after beating Basel 3-1 at Stamford Bridge last night to go through 5-2 on the good old-fashioned aggregate. The weather today for Beds, Herts and Bucks: dry, bright and warm, top temperature 15 degrees. Coming up, have you rung even the 111 emergency service? It's operational in some parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks, but health managers are warning it's not working well in some areas. Well, what's been your experience? Good or bad? 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Bank Holiday Monday on BBC Three Counties Radio.
From 6.
Iain Lee.
I'm coming in on what could be my day off, but it's not. I'm in. Huh?
From 9.
Tim Wheeler.
I'll be here with the big phone-in, great guests, and a chance for you to have your say on the day's top stories.
From 12.
Barry Hyde.
It's the return of the 70s album show.
From 2.
Mick Scarlett.
I'm going to be playing the very best in alternative 80s music.
From 4.
Richard Williams.
I'll be here with some great music, local stories, and that all-important bank holiday travel news.
From 6.
Jerry Byrne. Bank Holiday Monday on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm always interested why people decide not to vote in an election, whatever the election, whether it's general or a local or anything like that. I'm not a judgment at all. I'm one of those people that thinks that not voting can be a protest. There are a lot of people who disagree with that vehemently and think you can only protest by voting. But I kind of think if you don't vote, that's your right. That's all part of democracy. And it's your choice. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give me a call. Why didn't you vote yesterday? 30%, thereabouts, just over turnout. Not brilliant, is it? Now, have you rung the 111 non-emergency call service that's replaced NHS Direct in parts of the country? Health managers in England have admitted that the new out-of-hours medical helpline has fallen below acceptable standards in some areas. A board meeting of the NHS is due to consider the progress of the 111 service today. Well, Luton was part of a pilot scheme for the system, but its introduction has been delayed in the rest of Bedfordshire until the teething problems are ironed out. It's been operational since September in Hertfordshire and Buckinghamshire, with Milton Keynes introducing it in March. Well, I'm joined now by two guests. I'm joined by Dr Vishen Ramkisam, who is a GP at King George Surgery in Stevenage and is the Hertfordshire 111 clinical lead. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning.
I'm also joined by Dr Lawrence Buckman, who chairs the British Medical Association GPs Committee. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning.
Now, let's start with you, Lawrence. What are the shortcomings of the 111 non-emergency service?
The service was set up to be cheaper than previous services, and as a result tends to use trained, or actually not very well trained, lay people using computer programs that tell them what to ask and what to do next. The system is slow, the telephony in many places doesn't work, so people can't get through. When they do get through, the computer tells the call handler to direct a patient to accident emergency or to get a 999 ambulance. In other words, it plays very safe with people who don't need to be looked after that way. The solution, which we told the government 2 years ago, was to have a lot more nurses, trained nurses, and doctors on the front line.
Were the problems that we've been hearing about with the 111 system, were they avoidable?
Completely avoidable. The government, as usual, failed to listen to any advice from anybody who knows how to run urgent services. And in fact, had they listened, they would have realised that it isn't the same as calling a call centre to get your phone fixed or anything else. Some of the people who call 111 actually are really ill and need to get through quickly and be dealt with promptly. Other people have lesser illnesses, but a computer program that thinks they're having a heart attack is clearly going to behave differently than one that understands they've got a splinter in their finger.
So are you saying that more people are... Whereas this is supposed to take the pressure off of A&E departments, actually it could be having the opposite effect?
Yes, it's piling the pressure on and sending people who don't need to be in A&E and not allowing people who are sick through. And the systems that are working, where 111 is working, it's because there are nurses at...
Oh... Dr. Lawrence, we'll come back to you in a second. I think we just lost the line. Oh, Lawrence, you're back. Sorry, we just missed the last of that sentence. Sorry.
Yeah, I said it. The system where 111 is working, it's because they've got nurses at the very front and doctors close behind, rather than lay call handlers dealing with everything using a computer that is attempting to turn them into a doctor, but actually turning them into a 999 dialer.
Vishen, is the system flawed?
I can't comment on the system in total, but what I can tell you is about the results that we've demonstrated in Hertfordshire. As you know, we've been operational since September last year. We've taken just over 150,000 calls, and in the last month alone we took just close to 31,000 calls, and we've seen quite positive performance figures matching those that were demonstrated by the existing systems in the past.
What do you count as a positive performance figure? How does that work?
Okay, so like I said, we took 31,000 calls, and of those number of calls, the number of patients that were referred to A&E were below the national average of 15%. We actually managed to refer only just over 4% of patients to A&E. We constantly monitor every case that's sent. We check the reports and we follow up on the outcomes. So we're well aware of what we are sending and what's not being sent.
How long? One of the complaints that we've heard is people having to wait a long time for the phone to be answered, and then for sometimes hours for a call back. What are your times on those?
We're averaging approximately the longest wait for the call to be answered in Hertfordshire is approximately 2 minutes. And the longest wait for callbacks on average has been about 15 minutes. So we haven't seen those sort of figures in my area.
Why do you think your area is doing so well when some areas are doing so poorly?
I can only say that we've been doing it for quite some time. We had quite a lot of time to plan for our service prior to going live, and that allowed us to think about all these problems that perhaps other areas are seeing now, because we just had more time to get inside.
Do you have one of the points that Dr. Buckman was raising, that it would perform better on a national level if there were more trained nurses there? Do you have a significant amount of trained nurses working this?
The system that we use for analysing patients, which is NHS Pathways, the license agreement requires us to have one nurse available for every 6 call advisors, and we've maintained that all the way through. So at all times there are trained nurses and paramedics available, so there are clinicians there.
Lawrence, one nurse per 6 call advisors. Is that enough, do you think?
Well, obviously it's working okay in Luton, but that doesn't mean it's working okay around the rest of Britain, and it isn't working, and that's because people can't get through. I'm very impressed with the 2-minute answer time, but actually that's not the case nationally. It may well be that they've been going for longer and they've ironed these things out. They also had a lot of planning time in the pilot sites, which most of the 111 services have not had. 6 to 1, well, that doesn't sound very high, but it may well be they've got themselves organised well and can manage it perfectly adequately. And obviously if they're getting callback times in 15 minutes, that's perfectly reasonable. But that isn't the case nationally. In most places, they aren't getting anywhere near that.
Dr. Ramkisson, in Hertfordshire, 6 to 1, have people... I'm trying to say, I would be slightly uncomfortable phoning up a 111 service, Doctor, and it being someone who is not medically trained, going through a computer checklist. Have people expressed that when they've spoken to you, expressed that concern?
Funnily enough, we've had quite a lot of compliments to the service. People have come back saying the call advisors were quite polite, very caring.
Oh, polite is fine. I like polite, but I would like medical training when I'm speaking to someone.
And the outcomes that we have achieved in terms of where we've sent them to access the care was the right place first time, which is all what we're trying to achieve. Sending people to the right place first. And whilst that may mean sending them to A&E or an ambulance or to an out-of-hours doctor or back to their own doctor, our aim is to send them to the right place first. So we haven't had the kind of experience that other areas are facing, and I think that goes to the amount of time that we had to set up our service beforehand.
Lawrence, we heard here, it sounds like it's working in Hertfordshire with Vision. Could these just be teething problems elsewhere?
No, I think the way they've been set up is likely to make them fail. You don't test the system, the electronics properly, so they don't work properly, and in large parts of the country they've had to be stood down because they don't work. You don't have enough call handlers of the right calibre and training. You don't have enough nurses behind them and doctors behind them. It isn't medically run, which clearly this one sounds like it is. Those things are calculated to make it not work, and that's because it was done in most parts of the country on the basis of cheapness, and that way you can't deliver a high quality service. Where you've got a medical and nursing presence very close to the answer phone, you can actually make the system work. This is a good idea. 111 is a good idea. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the way it's been done was obviously never going to work, and the fact that it has worked in some places is to the credit of the people who run them, and Luton may be, I can't say unique, there are other places where it's working, but the majority of the country it is not standing up properly. It will eventually, because the NHS management have worked out that they've got to step in now and make the thing work. It was a political promise that could never be delivered.
Dr. Lawrence Buckman, thank you very much indeed, and Dr. Vishen Ramkisson, thank you very much as well. 08459 455 555. I must stress it's Hertfordshire, and Dr. Ramkisson is from Stevenage. But it would appear that it is working there. Keen to get your stories on this. If you've used the 111 service, and I don't want this to be one of those, oh, isn't it rubbish? Oh, isn't it rubbish what they've done now? Oh, I prefer the old thing. I don't know. I've not used 111. I've not had the experience of using it yet, so I don't know. I did use NHS Direct quite a lot. When you have your first baby, you wait, producer Laura, when you have your first baby, you'll constantly be on the phone to this, it was, going, oh, he's breathing. Yeah, I think they're meant to do that. Oh, he's got a little spot on his hand. Yeah, that's probably a milk allergy. Oh, you'll constantly be doing that.
He won't stop crying. There must be something wrong. Is that what the most common will be?
We were me and my wife were on the phone to them pretty much all the time, and they were wonderful. And they not once did they say, "Oh, you're being stupid." They went through all the questions. They got a nurse to call us back. The nurse explained what was going on and said, "Just do this, do this." No, that's probably fine. But you'll be on there all the time.
Well, we're hoping to move house soon, and one of the factors that we considered when choosing the house was how quickly could I get to the doctor's.
If you ever have a second, you'll be like, oh, whatever. Well, it's sicking up. Well, if he's sicking up in 3 days' time, then we'll consider maybe having a little look. But until, just go and sit in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, I've got a feeling I won't be a mellow mummy to start with.
You won't be. It's wonderful. And that's one of the joys of the first kid. Oh, my gosh, he's breathing. Yeah, they're meant to breathe. Oh, my God, he's making a funny noise when he sleeps. That's snoring. It happens. But so I have no experience of 111. So I'm relying on you to give me a call and let me know your thoughts on this. I've got some great comments on Facebook. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. We'll go through those in a little bit. Before that, though, let's get the travel news with Adam Glynn.
Beds, Herts and Bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. The A120 near to Stansted Airport has been partially blocked by a two-vehicle accident. It's at junction 8A of the M11 where the two roads meet there. Anti-clockwise M25 a little bit slow as you come into the roadworks section at junction 25 for the A10 at Enfield. And if you're going further around the M25, anti-clockwise still, it's looking pretty slow at the minute between Maple Cross at junction 17 and 16 at the M40. The A405 coming towards the M25, heavy at the junction 21A roundabout. If you're using the trains, at the minute they're looking fine. Tubes in London, though, Circle Line services suspended on the clockwise side because of a signal failure, and that could have an impact on the District Line as well. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam.
Getting beds, Herts and Bucks talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. With the 7:30 headlines, I'm Catherine Boyle. Counting in the local elections for Hertfordshire will resume this morning, with initial results showing significant gains for Labour, while the Conservatives retain control. The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a travellers' site in Bedfordshire. And a Luton man's been jailed for 2.5 years after setting fire to a multi-occupancy house in the town's Hitchin Road last June.
Beds, Herts and Bucks Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Watford play one of the most important games in their history tomorrow. If they gain automatic promotion to the Premier League, it's worth £120 million. Here's our sports editor, Jeff Doyle.
Well, promotion has never been so financially lucrative. Finishing bottom of the Premier League next season brings a reward of approximately £60 million. If relegated next season, the club would be entitled to another £60 million over 4 years, the so-called parachute payments. To land the kitty, Watford, who play Leeds, must better Hull's efforts against Cardiff. If they go up tomorrow, it's the first season in the top flight since 2007, and with it cash, and lots of it.
Chelsea are in the Europa League final after a 3-1 win over Basel at Stamford Bridge last night. They'll meet Benfica in the final on May the 15th. And reaching this stage was the best way to react to being knocked out of the Champions League, according to their defender, Gary Cahill.
You know, we went out, it's disappointing. We've come into this competition, you have to do the best you possibly can, and we've done really well and gone to the final. So if we manage to pick this up, it'd be great. There's no point winning tonight if we don't go on and do the job in Amsterdam. And hopefully, like I said, it'll go the way that it went last year and we have a strong end to the season.
Judd Trump and Ronnie O'Sullivan will resume their semi-final at the World Snooker Championship this morning at 4 frames all. Trump was down at 4-1 at one stage. In the other semi-final at the Crucible, Ricky Walden leads Barry Hawkins 6-2. They resume play this afternoon. Finally, golf, and Rory McIlroy shot a first-round 67 to share the first-round lead in the PGA event at Quail Hollow in North Carolina. And that's your latest news and sport. More from me at 8 o'clock.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
More on the elections coming up soon. We'll also be speaking to Nigel Farage, and we'll be ending the show with some fantastic music. Very exciting. It involves ukuleles, always one of my favourite treats. Coming up between now and 8 o'clock, though, the Mayor of Milton Keynes has had her chauffeur-driven car stolen from outside her house. The driver was helping Katrina Morris put on her chain. Well, Justin Dealey is on his way to meet her to find out what happened. And remember yesterday we told you that 1 in 5 infant deaths in Luton are caused by genetic conditions linked to cousin marriage. Well, last night the Borough Council held a meeting about it. Now, reporter Matt Lockwood was there. You can hear his report in about 15 minutes' time. If you want to give us a call this morning, 08459 455 555. Now, as I've said, the Mayor of Milton Keynes has had her chauffeur-driven car stolen from outside her house. The car, a Mercedes, was taken from the drive whilst the driver was helping Katrina Morris put on her chain. Well, our reporter Justin Dealey is with her now. Justin.
Thank you, Ian. Incredible story. I'm actually on the drive where this incident happened yesterday. Katrina, this happened at, 10 o'clock yesterday morning. Take us through exactly what happened.
Yes, good morning. 10 o'clock yesterday morning I was heading to the stadium for the fantastic announcements on the Rugby World Cup. The driver arrived, parked the car at the end of the drive as he always does. I was on the drive, so he walked down the drive, helped me put the chains on, which takes 30 seconds perhaps a minute in total. We turned round, we walked back up the drive again, and there was an empty space.
It's incredible. You just don't expect this to happen. You must have been incredibly shocked by this.
Totally. I'm used to seeing the car parking, across the drive, filling up the space, and there was an empty space, no car.
So do you think somebody had been watching you for a while, because this person picks you up on a regular basis, helps you put the chain on, leaves the car here unattended? Do you think somebody had been watching you for quite some time?
I suspect the car's been being watched, absolutely. It doesn't just look after me. Obviously, they do other things with it as well. So it's seen around Milton Keynes. It's a smart Mercedes C-Class. I'm not sure if there are lots around. And yes, I imagine it must have been being watched. But, as you've seen, the road here, it's a little country lane. And you can see up and down it. So as he got out of the car, he wasn't aware there was anybody around.
Yes, on London Road. You did speak to some of the builders who are working down this road. They saw the person drive away. They were almost run over, weren't they?
It reversed at speed out of the village and nearly took some builders out who were working on a house a few doors up. It went up, I gather, up onto the grass and reversed out of the village and then took off.
And who actually owns this car?
It's owned by Raffles in Milton Keynes, a taxi service in Milton Keynes. The council use that rather than have their own car.
And what's the latest with it? Where is the car? Do we know?
No idea. The police have been absolutely fantastic. Clearly I've not been a part of that side, as it's, in that sense not my car or anything, but I gather they've been absolutely amazing and have been looking for it, and I believe you can monitor them for a while, but there's a point where you lose seeing them. So I mean, it could well have gone straight down onto the M1, who knows.
And the driver itself, did he almost feel quite stupid because he left the car here unattended, the engine was running? Did he almost feel like a bit of an idiot for doing that?
The engine wasn't running as far as I'm aware. It was unattended clearly because he was helping me put the chain on. It's that moment where you stand there and think, I really did leave the car here, didn't I? I mean, I didn't park it somewhere else.
So you were looking up and down the road for the car, you thought you was going mad?
Absolutely. And then the builders came out and reassured us we weren't going mad, that actually somebody had pinched it.
You got the chain with you today. Iain was talking about this earlier on. Describe this wonderful chain for me, Katrina.
It's very heavy, it's gold. It has the Milton Keynes crest on the front of it and says Mayor of Milton Keynes. As I say, it's quite heavy and we can hear it.
Go on, jingle it for us. Look at that, wonderful.
But you can tell it's not enormously big, so putting it on doesn't take very long.
Takes 30 seconds.
Absolutely.
And yesterday, of course, was meant to be a day of celebration. The 2015 World Cup. Milton Keynes will be hosting 3 games. How excited are you about that prospect?
Absolutely fantastic. It was a brilliant day for Milton Keynes yesterday. Put us well and truly on the map yet again. Great stadium. We're going to have hundreds of thousands of people coming into Milton Keynes. Fantastic for our economy. October 2015 is going to be a great time for Milton Keynes.
And you've got 2 weeks left as the Mayor of Milton Keynes. How would you describe your last year? Has it been absolutely incredible for you?
It's been amazing. It's been exhausting. It's been incredibly busy. I will have done about 500 events in that time. I've been to some really special things happening in Milton Keynes, and for example last night we had the first ever Mayor's variety concert, which has never happened before, bringing some of that incredible talent onto the stage for other people to see. But it's been a really exciting year.
Okay, final question for you. If, and there's every chance this could happen, if the person who stole the car yesterday is listening to this right now directly, what is your message to that person?
Give it back. Absolutely. I mean, you don't expect it. It shouldn't happen. Yeah. It's clearly not theirs. So it's Raffles. Park it back up outside Raffles and leave it.
I appreciate your time. We'll take a picture of you with that chain. Yes,
Justin. Can I just say, for goodness sakes, please don't judge my listeners. We don't have thieves listening to this show. They'd have tuned into Heart by now. No. Can you ask the Mayor what does an ex? You're 2 weeks left. What does an ex-mayor do with their time?
It's a very good question, actually. So in 2 weeks' time, when you are not the Mayor of Milton Keynes, sorry to rub that in, Katrina, but when that does happen, what are you going to do next, apart from looking for thieves in Milton Keynes, obviously?
Sleep is probably the first answer. Look after my children, spend some more time with the children and the family, have a holiday, and then I need to do something. I think kids are back at school in September. I think the immediate past mayor of Milton Keynes must have a value in the sense that I've met so many people, I've seen so many things, I've got loads of contacts. It would be great to do something else for Milton Keynes.
I reckon you're going to get a replica of that chain, and you're still going to walk around Milton Keynes with it on. You can't give it up, can you?
Well, some are looking forward to calling me the old mayor.
Thank you, Katrina. Katrina Morris there, joining us live from her home. I'm actually on the driveway right now, Ian. You can probably hear some of the stones on the floor. This is where the incident happened yesterday, and of course the police are looking into it, and hopefully they can recover that car. We can only hope so.
Stones on the floor, little tip, stones on the floor of a drive, it's called gravel.
I call it stones. Stones or gravel. Don't pick me up.
On a serious note, though, I do hope they catch the thief. And on a side issue, Justin, are you going to take me for a spin in your new car?
My new car?
Your new Mercedes you've got. It's dead flash. Can I have a go in it later?
It's very nice, actually. It's silver as well.
I saw you pulling into work this morning. I thought, oh, that's nice. He's earning a few quid.
You cheeky so-and-so.
Justin, thank you very much. See you later on, indeed. 08459 455 555. Naughty opportunist thieves. Now, it was the council elections yesterday. I'm always curious to talk to people who didn't vote, who don't vote in these things. Not a judgment in the slightest. But why not? Paul, did you vote yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Can I ask why?
Well, I'm 42, and in all my voting years, I've never voted for any of the parties. Now, people say that's a bad thing, because you're not voting for what you want. But if that's the case, none of them give 100% or even 80% or even 50% of what I want.
What do you want, Paul?
Well, I want a government that looks after its people, looks after its country, and do you know what I mean? We're a far cry from what this country needs. All of them offer everything, but none of them deliver. So until the day that there is a party that offers and delivers everything and looks after their own people and the country, then I will actually vote. Until then, it's my protest in saying, no, you're not good enough.
Paul, so imagine you've got Paul's party, OK, and Paul's party is running in the general election. What would your top 3 policies be?
Well, my first policy would be to deal with the corruption in this country by the hierarchy, i.e. the people who run this country, like the banks and the huge corporations. You know, I mean, fair enough, you've got to be careful how you deal with those, because they'll say, right, we're moving to another country, but then they're losing money in this country, you see, so they're not really going to do that, are they?
So corporate corruption, number 1. What's policy number 2, Paul, in Paul's party?
Number 2, welfare. Dealing with welfare. The people in this country that are sapping the welfare dry, they keep going on about the poor people of this country who are claiming benefits. Now, they're only claiming benefits because they're poor. They have no money, they have no education, they have no life, you know, and they need to be educated and you know, into such a way that maybe they can actually be a productive person in this country, you know, and take away the benefits, like was suggested earlier in the week, about pensions. You know, people who are rich, you know, if they've got more than £1 million in the bank, they do not need pensions and benefits because they are filthy rich. So why don't they do the right thing and say, look, this will give billions of pounds to the poor. Let's do that, because it's the right thing to do, because I don't need that money.
I'm going to be honest, Paul, you're a lot more passionate than some of the politicians we've had on this show. And finally, very quickly, what would the third policy be in Paul's party?
Well, this I've got to really juggle the jar on this one.
Oh, juggle the jar?
Yeah, juggle the jar. I'm trying to think of one that would be suitable. But I'd probably deal with immigration. But I must say, on that note of immigration, everybody here is complaining about it. Oh, there's too many, there's this, there's that, there's one thing and another. We are privileged to have the Channel. The Channel is the greatest border any country can have. If you think we've got a problem in this country with immigration, try going to Europe, where they do not have a channel, they only have a border, and that border is saturated. Yeah, absolutely saturated.
Paul, we have to end it there. Paul's party, he's passionate, isn't he? And I think that's what's missing from a lot of politicians. I think if you had the passion of Paul, someone like that would be more inclined to get your votes, wouldn't they? Thank you, Paul. I appreciate the honesty. Why didn't you vote yesterday? 08459 455 555. We're also talking about the 111 service. Bill Savage. Morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Have you used the 111 service?
Yes, I used it over the Easter weekend.
Well, can I ask why?
I had a problem with my eye socket swelling, which was later diagnosed as a blocked tear duct.
I've never heard of that. How does what was blocking your tear duct?
It was an infection.
And you called them. How did they? How do you feel you were dealt with?
Well, it was an amateur and completely unconvincing performance.
In what way?
Well, the operator, the advisor, followed a script mechanically, almost robotically. They were very tentative and lacking in confidence. They were constantly checking and rechecking the details of my symptoms. They had repeated consultations with medical colleagues while I was left hanging on the phone. And they gave me little confidence in that they understood their own systems or even the medical expertise of their advisors.
So you were talking to one of these call centre people and they'd say, look, excuse me, Mr Savage, I'm just going to go and speak to a nurse. Did you not say, can I not speak to the nurse, please?
I did, and they said, I'll do it.
Sorry, I'm laughing because that's so ridiculous. And so you have no faith in the system whatsoever?
Well, the system has been launched too quickly.
Right.
They're under-trained, under-rehearsed, and if this were a private company, someone would be fired. But because it's the NHS, no one's accountable.
Bill, what was their final advice? Did they just say go down to A&E?
Well, I actually gave them the answer. I actually wanted an appointment at the health centre where there is a emergency service on a Saturday morning. I said, the name of the people is Harmony, and I was put through, and I made my own appointment.
Oh, dear. And how's the eye now, Bill? Is it all better?
Yes, it's responded to antibiotics, thank you very much.
Fantastic. Bill, thank you very much. It's Bill from Amersham. Not particularly happy with the 111 service. It's about pretty much 50-50 now, I think, this morning, and people who are very satisfied with it and people like Bill. Very little confidence in it. 08459 455 555. Someone I have a lot of confidence in. When he turns up, it's Adam Glynn.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, biting.
Yeah, cheeky, I know, but true.
It's I blame the Central Line. That's all I'm saying. The A120 in Stansted, partially blocked by an accident with two vehicles involved at the M11 Evans Junction 8A, so very close to the airport there. Clockwise M25. There's heavy traffic approaching Junction 23 at the A1M. That's going into the roadworks section. As you go in the other way, anti-clockwise, it's also busy at Enfield, Junction 25, and a little bit of traffic between Maple Cross and the M40 Junction 17 through to 16. Definitely quieter than the average morning, though. Trains across the three counties looking good, and on the tubes, Circle Line suspended clockwise because of a signal failure at South Kensington. So if you're heading into London, bear that in mind and maybe take an alternate route. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Adam, thank you very much. Right, it's nearly 7:47. It's Friday the 3rd of May. I'm Iain Lee and these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Counting in the local elections for Hertfordshire will resume this morning with initial results showing significant gains for Labour while the Conservatives retain control. The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a travellers' site in Bedfordshire. In sport, Judd Trump and Ronnie O'Sullivan will resume their semi-final at the World Snooker Championship this morning at 4 frames all. Coming up, do you remember yesterday we told you that 1 in 5 infant deaths in Luton are caused by genetic conditions linked to cousin marriage? We had some fascinating calls, including a call from a gentleman called Mohammed, who said he was against cousins marrying, but if the couple loved each other, their babies would be fit and healthy, and if they hated each other, the babies could die or be deformed. Incredible. Well, last night the Borough Council held a meeting about it. We sent our reporter Matt Lockwood along, and we'll get his report before 8 o'clock. But now, let's get the weather. Here's Elizabeth Brazzini.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. A rather chilly start, but plenty of sunshine around today. More like sunny spells into the afternoon with a bit more in the way of cloud. We're looking at 18, even 19 degrees Celsius across the 3 counties this afternoon. So a lovely warm day and a milder night tonight with quite a lot of cloud. Bit of a southwesterly breeze. Tomorrow is going to be a rather cloudy start to the bank holiday weekend. The possibility of some showery rain at times, but a brighter afternoon, fresher. The warmth will be back on Sunday and Monday. It's looking like an absolute cracker of a day on bank holiday Monday and lots of sunshine. That's the forecast.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I think she was in a rush to get somewhere there.
On Saturday lunchtime, we'll find out how good a season it's been.
That went like a rocket!
With Watford needing to better Hull's result to gain automatic promotion to the Premier League.
You do what you have to do and then you hope for the best from other places.
We'll have full live commentary as the Hornets take on Leeds at Vicarage Road.
And Watford do take the lead here!
Find out whether it's automatic promotion for Zola's team or the playoffs. 3 Counties Sports, Saturday from 12 on BBC 3 Counties Radio.
Now, yesterday we told you that conditions arising from marriage between cousins is the cause of 1 in 5 baby deaths in Luton. The council has set up the infant mortality rate to investigate. Well, we heard some amazing stories about this, and Mohammed from Luton called the programme. He knows many people who've married their cousins, but their children have been healthy. He thinks he knows why.
Those who like each other, or they didn't have forced marriage, or they all had good kids, and
well, that's luck, surely, though, more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah. My brother is married to first cousin, and they have 5 kids, and they are all healthy. And
but are you aware that that's down to luck, Mohammed, or are you saying that that's because they love each other?
I would say if they like each other,
they'll have good children.
They'll have good kids.
Do you not think what you've just said is possibly part of the problem? Because you seem to be saying that if the cousins like each other, they'll have good children. If they don't like each other, they'll have children who don't live or are deformed.
Yeah.
Coming from a science point of view, that's not the case, Mohammed. That's purely luck, whether they've had good or bad children. It's a genetic thing.
Well, genetic thing, that's because genetic thing is the result of something, isn't it?
Well, genetic is science, and what you're suggesting is faith.
Yeah, it's not fair, but if they like each other, then
they'll have good children. It really was the most incredible call. I mean, I'm shocked listening to it. He started off so sensibly, I thought, then kind of skewered off in an odd direction. Well, last night a meeting took place to tackle the problem, which is most prevalent within the area's Pakistani Kashmiri community. Councillor Aslam Khan told our reporter Matt Lockwood the research linking cousin marriage with baby deaths requires greater scrutiny.
Speaking to some of these researchers, again, when they were talking about genetics, it's not really looking at just cousin marriages. It's looking at, it could be other people with a similar kind of a gene who could be at a similar risk.
But the report did say that specific point, 20 out of the 98 infant deaths in Luton are all from British Pakistani families caused by cousin marriage.
20% out of 100 is not a massive risk factor. What you are missing the point here is the report is looking at infant mortality. The primary objective of the report is not cousin marriages. You need to understand that first. The whole report is talking about infant mortality. How do we address it? So we need to look at entirety. So 80% of the modifiable risk factors is smoking, is obesity, is poor diet, lack of exercise, lots of other things. Although there may be an association, and we haven't heard any real evidence tonight to suggest that cousin marriages, there's a strong link.
Do you think this research is rubbish then? It doesn't make any sense?
Well, when I questioned the research, it did not really answer the questions. I was not satisfied with the research, so I think it is too early to say. There's lots of other meetings to come yet, and I think the final report isn't out yet, so it'd be quite interesting to see. So this is just the beginning. It's not the entire end of the report. So I'd be interested to see what the outcome of the report is. Yes.
But some people say cousin marriage is wrong. What do you think about that?
Well, look, it's not for me to say right or wrong. It's up to people to make those choices. What I'm here to do is to make sure we question and we have really robust research before we make any claims and any suggestions. So it's not really me stopping anyone before marrying or not marrying. So I think we need to be quite clear. Before we start making claims or start looking at some research, we need to go deep. We really need to understand what the real cause of mortality is. Any death is quite concerning, okay? So for me, I would need to look at the whole patient population, whether we have here people who are at risk or people who have died, and really trying to understand how we can help, or reduce some of these mortality rates.
But the figures do speak for themselves, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. There are deaths above national level. So we need to understand what is causing that. So, and while cousin marriages may form part of that figure, 80% of the deaths, we need to understand we have 10 practices below national standard. They're some of the lowest performing practices here in Luton. So if we need to understand, are we not providing adequate health services to our children who are the future or our future and we need to put those things in place and make sure those...
You haven't addressed the 20% of the infant deaths, have you? You're talking about the other 80%, but the 20%...
So if you were crossing the road, would you be worried about the 20% risk factor or 80% where you're more likely to die? What would you do?
Quite clearly, this report identified an issue, though, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I'm trying to say to you...
The report has identified an issue...
If you're crossing the road, you've got a lorry coming in front of you. On the other hand, you have a bicycle. Who are you going to avoid? The lorry or the bicycle?
It's not for me to say, is it?
Well,
I'm just putting the question to you.
You're asking me the same question. If you're crossing the road, I would avoid the lorry. My chances of dying is far higher if I stand in front of the lorry rather than standing in front of the bicycle.
That's Matt Lockwood there. Excellent report, Matt, speaking to Councillor Aslam Khan. If I was crossing the road, I would avoid the lorry, yeah. And if I was going to have a baby, I'd avoid having it with my cousin. Is that man for real? I'm quite angry by that. Complete denial of scientific facts. If you have a baby with your cousin, it's a proven fact that there is a significant chance of there being a genetic defect or your baby not surviving. That's a fact. Isn't it annoying when facts get in the way of your point? I have no idea what Councillor Aslam Khan was on about there. I'm actually genuinely angry. And I'll tell you why I'm angry. Because when babies are dying and when babies are being born deformed or with mental deficiencies that are completely avoidable, then we should be doing something about it. And what we should be doing is saying, no, you can't have kids if you're cousins. Whether it's a cultural thing or not, I do get very annoyed when it's kids that are dying or being born, deformed, mental deficiencies, things that are avoidable, and facts are presented, then we should be doing something about... What's all this? So if you're riding a bike on a street and there's a lorry or a... What? You're crossing the... What on earth has that got to do with it, Mr. Khan? Absolutely nothing. I thought Matt did a cracking job there. Oh, I'm glad I wasn't doing that. I'd have had a right go at him. I know, inappropriate, I know, but I thought Matt did very well at pushing the point there in a gentle but slightly forceful way, even though he was being completely ignored. I'll come out and say it. I think it's wrong. I think it's weird for cousins to marry, OK? And we used to do it in this country. It kind of died out early in the 20th century because people realised it was a little bit odd and we weren't all living in villages as much as we were and we were able to travel a little bit further. If you want to do it, I don't get it, but yeah, fine, OK. But then 20% of kids dying because of this, that's a significant thing. Don't dismiss those figures, Councillor Aslam Khan. You can't dismiss those figures. 08459 455 555. There'll be more on this with Chetan Patak on BBC Three Counties Sunday from 6 o'clock. Or you can give me a call if you want. Now, tomorrow lunchtime, Watford find out whether they'll be promoted to the Premier League. If you've noticed, I've changed subjects, so don't think there's any connection between what I was just ranting about and this. Okay, we've moved on. Excuse me. They know they just have to bet a Hull's result to be back in the big time. Could be worth £128 million. I'll have some of that. That would pay off most of my mortgage. You can hear the whole game live, plus rugby commentary on Saracens and Bedford in Three Counties Sport from midday on Saturday. If you want to get involved with the show this morning, you can give us a call about what you've just heard there, or you can tell me why you didn't vote in yesterday's election. 08459 455 555. Joe has sent me an email. We talked about Paul. Paul called him. Paul didn't vote yesterday. He said that his voting is not a protest. Well, Joe has emailed. Paul, what a pleb. My not voting is my protest. He's had a rant, which you've allowed, but he can't voice his complaints. He just has to take whatever the ruling party decides because he hasn't used his vote. I believe that if you don't vote, then you should be fined. Also, on the voting form, there should be an abstained box. Well, what do you think? Should you be fined if you don't vote? 08459 455 555. Right, travel news now. Adam Glynn.
Herts and Bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. The M25 anti-clockwise, it is looking a little bit slow through the roadworks section from Enfield to the A1M. It'll take you maybe 25 minutes to get through this morning, which isn't too bad, really. As you continue anti-clockwise, it slows from the M40 to the M4, maybe 10 minutes around there. Clockwise looking busy going into the roadworks. Northbound M40, heading past High Wycombe, a little bit slow on the speed sensors there at Junction 4. If you're heading in toward London on the A1, slow traffic between Stirling Corner and Apex Corner. The A414 at the London Coney roundabout's got a bit of a queue building. We've still got that issue near to Stansted Airport, the A120 partially blocked by a two-vehicle accident at Junction 8A of the M11. Chiltern on the trains, delays of up to 20 minutes, Aylesbury to Marylebone because of a signalling problem. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Adam, thank you very much indeed. Coming up in the next hour, we'll be speaking to Nigel Farage. A lot of success across the country, not so much in the three counties. We'll be talking to him and more after the news with Catherine.
Getting beds, hearts and bugs talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning, it's 8 o'clock. The headlines. UKIP make headway in Hertfordshire, Welwyn Man on firearms charges, and crunch time for the Hornets.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Counting in the local elections for Hertfordshire will resume this morning, with initial results showing Conservatives will retain control. They've had a shot across the bows from UKIP, however. Nigel Farage's party have polled almost a fifth of the votes but failed to win any seats. The Conservative Party chairman and MP for Welwyn Hatfield, Grant Shapps, says they get the message.
I think that people who have voted in whichever direction need to be listened to. And yes, I include people who voted for all of the parties, including UKIP. We get it. We understand. We hear what you're saying. We want to make sure that we make faster progress on things like sorting out the economy, capping welfare, helping hard-working people.
The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a travellers' site in Bedfordshire. Tommy Connors and his 3 sons deny the charges at Luton Crown Court. A man appeared in court after firearms, ammunition and drugs were seized at a house in Welwyn Garden City on Tuesday morning. 54-year-old Howard Jones from Bessemer Road has been charged with possession of a handgun, a rifle ammunition, taser stun guns, pepper sprays and Class A drugs. He appeared at Hatfield Remand Court and was remanded into custody. Plans for a Bedfordshire-wide rollout of the non-emergency health helpline 111 are being put on hold while managers address a number of problems. Health managers in England have admitted that the service has followed below acceptable standards in some areas and are meeting to discuss the way forward today. Dr Lawrence Buckman, who chairs the British Medical Association's GPs Committee, told Iain Lee that 111 is making a difficult situation worse.
It's piling the pressure on and sending people who don't need to be in A&E and not allowing people who are sick through. And the systems that are working, where 111 is working, it's because there are nurses at the very front and doctors close behind, rather than lay call handlers dealing with everything using a computer that is attempting to turn them into a doctor, but actually turning them into a 999 dialer.
Plans to build a new bus station in the centre of Hemel Hempstead are being unveiled today. The current station will be demolished and turned into a leisure complex, while a new facility will be built next to the Marlow shopping centre. A blue tit has been rescued from the extractor fan over a cooker in Luton. A team from Bedfordshire Wildlife Rescue were called to retrieve the bird, which was smothered in grease. They used a spatula and a spoon to get him out. In sport, Watford play one of the most important games in their history tomorrow. If they gain automatic promotion to the Premier League, it's worth £120 million. Here's our sports editor, Jeff Doyle.
Well, promotion has never been so financially lucrative. Finishing bottom of the Premier League next season brings a reward of approximately £60 million. If relegated relegated next season, the club would be entitled to another £60 million over 4 years, the so-called parachute payments. To land the kitty, Watford, who play Leeds, must better Hull's efforts against Cardiff. If they go up tomorrow, it's the first season in the top flight since 2007, and with it cash. And lots of it.
The weather dry, bright and warm today with a top temperature of 15 degrees Celsius, that's 59 Fahrenheit. There's more news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties. BBC Three Counties Radio. First for news.
Listen, we've got a problem.
Oh dear.
We've got a problem. We've been bigging up Farage. There's still a chance he might be on before 9 o'clock. The BBC and the UKIP party have lost him somewhere. So, I was wondering... No, they have. He's in a building. He's in a BBC building, and UKIP have lost him.
Have they tried the loos?
he's probably having a sneaky fag out the window. So, what I was wondering is, can you... He's got quite a gruff voice. Can you do a gruff voice, just in case we're struggling later on?
Something a bit more like that.
Oh, we have got Nigel Farage.
Bid him, I'll do it.
Speak to you later, Nigel.
Very well.
Very well? Excellent. They have. UKIP have lost Farage. We'll do our best to get him before 9 o'clock. We'll do our best. He'll be having a fag somewhere. He'll be round the back having a little Marlborough Light. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots coming up between now and 9 o'clock. JVS on at 9, of course. What have we got? Well, the election results are coming in. Been a good night for Labour in Hertfordshire. The Conservative leader of Herts County Council will be joining me on the programme next. Turnout hasn't been great, 30%. Why do you think so many people didn't bother to vote? If you didn't vote, could you give me a call and let me know why? 08459 455 555. The 111 emergency service. It's operational in some parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks, but health managers are warning it's not working well in some areas. What's been your experience, good or bad? I'll be speaking to the Patients Association to find out what they think. And Watford have got a huge game against Leeds tomorrow. Can they win? I honestly don't know. We'll be previewing the match with Richard Walker from the club. 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just very quickly, before the news, we heard a little follow-up from yesterday's report about marriages to cousins and the infant mortality. A fifth of kids born to married cousins in Luton are dying. Mike has just emailed in. Iain, Councillor Khan is of course part of the problem if he and others fail to play their part in ensuring that people are fully aware of the risk to babies by the continuation of such close family marriages. Nothing will change. I myself would favour a change to the law to ban such marriages within the UK. 08459 455 555. Now, the elections. It's been a good night for Labour in Hertfordshire. The party has gained seats from the Tories and from the Lib Dems. UKIP didn't make any gains, but it did increase its share of the vote. Well, our political reporter, Paul Scoynes, has been looking at the results. Very quickly, Paul, we've lost Farage.
Yeah.
What's the latest on that?
My understanding, Iain, is that he is imminently about to speak to our colleagues at Radio 4's Today programme.
Yeah, hang on a second. Why would Radio 4 get the scoop over us?
I know. What appears to have happened is that the UKIP's press officers have been working in separate galaxies.
OK.
And one said, yeah, have him.
Yeah.
And the other said, well, we didn't agree to that. And he's going to do Sky, and then he's doing the Today programme.
Can you not let his people know I used to work with Ricky Gervais? I don't know if that will have any sway on the subject. It has
certainly got some cachet.
OK. What are the highlights so far in the election results? They're not all in, are they?
No, they're not. And not even in Hertfordshire, where they did count overnight in a lot of the wards, in the divisions, if you like. The headline so far is 65 of the 77 seats have been counted. The Conservatives still have overall control. They've got 43, so they passed that sort of 39 benchmark for full control. Labour now have 12 divisions, which is 9 more than they had yesterday, and just 2 short of their sort of total in 2005, which was 14. So they're claiming that they've done a fairly good night, and you spoke to Sharon Taylor earlier, the leader of the Labour Party in Hertfordshire, and she was very chipper.
One of the big surprises was Stuart Pyle, who's been on this show several times. What happened there?
Yes, he was the cabinet member for roads, and he lost his seat to the Liberal Democrats in Hatfield South, and so they are claiming that was as a direct result of poor roads and potholes, and also the impact of the incinerator which is being planned for the area. They lost 3 seats in total in the sort of Welwyn Hatfield District Council area, which of course is the sort of area covered by the Conservative Party chairman Grant Shapps, who's the MP for the area. But although he was telling me on Twitter just a few moments ago that the Conservatives still did or polled the most number of votes in that sort of area, even though they had lost 3 seats. So he's saying that they still did quite well. Votes are still to be counted in Watford and the Three Rivers. It's worth making that point. And the Lib Dems, you spoke to Stephen Giles Medhurst earlier on, he said that they're expecting to do well there, at least to hold on to the seats that they had, potentially make 1 or 2 gains as well. So they will see what happens there.
What happened with UKIP?
Well, they didn't win any seats in Hertfordshire yet. However, they did poll quite well. They got overall about 20% of the votes, around a fifth, and in some areas they did even better than that. In East Herts, I had 27% of the vote over those 10 seats, so they did quite well. We will wait, however, to see how well they did in Buckinghamshire, because they've thrown everything there. They are standing in every single seat. They were only standing in around just under 90% of the seats in Hertfordshire, but they are standing in 100% of the seats in Buckinghamshire. And they've very much been making this play about high-speed rail. They've been making this play against the wind farms which have been planned for the area as well. But high-speed 2 has been their focus. They've been sort of out on the campaign trail. Their leader, the elusive Mr Farage, has been to meetings in Great Missenden and various places. I went to one meeting there. It was absolutely packed. So it would seem, and already Conservatives, John Barron, who's an MP in Essex, was saying that we mustn't treat UKIP like a protest party, although Mr Farage himself admits that they probably are for a lot of people a protest party. So we shall see. But I do wonder whether or not they might make 1 or 2 inroads into council seats in Buckinghamshire. We will wait and see, and probably know in about 6 hours' time.
OK, Paul, stay there, because you may want to join me on this. We can talk now to the leader of Herts County Council, Conservative Robert Gordon. Good morning, Robert. Bit of a disappointing night, wasn't it?
Far from it, I think. We did expect to lose some seats to Labour because they had such a disastrous result in 2009.
So you're happy to lose seats to Labour?
Well, not happy, of course, but one's got to be realistic. Labour have moved from their worst position in history to their second worst position in history, with a far lower swing than they were expecting and a far smaller number of seats than they were expecting.
Stuart Pyle in Hatfield South, you lost him?
Very sad. Stuart was a very highly respected colleague across the chamber, but Hatfield is an old Labour town. Stuart and Grant Shapps have done wonderfully well to turn it in our direction, but no, it was always going to be a difficult fight, and I'm very sad to have lost Stuart. But heavens, with not all of the seats yet declared, we've got a comfortable majority. I think that majority will move up during the day.
But smaller than it has been?
Larger than it was in 2005.
Right, but smaller than...
But if you remember in 2009, when Gordon Brown was in the absolute pits, Labour got reduced to 3 seats. They were at 22% in the polls. So inevitably they would have made progress. But they've not made the progress which suggests that the people are ready to put Ed Miliband into number 10.
What happened in Stevenage? You were wiped out there.
Indeed, but prior to 2009, we didn't have any seats in Stevenage. Stevenage is very strong.
So you're happy not to have any seats in Stevenage?
Of course I'm not. I would love to win every single seat, but be reasonable. If you look across a very mixed county like Hertfordshire, there are strong areas politically, there are weaker areas. We have come back with, I suspect we'll have 46 seats, I would hope, 43, 42, as you say, 43 already declared. We will have a comfortable working majority, and that is a signal by the people of Hertfordshire. They've looked at our record, they've looked at our promises, they've looked at our ability to freeze the council tax for 4 years and to continue to deliver good quality services, and they've said, yep, we'll have a bit more of that, please, and I'm delighted.
Robert, did UKIP have you running scared? Because in a couple of seats they ran you a very tight second.
They did a bit, but not compared with other counties. We haven't lost a single seat to UKIP.
Only just, though.
They came close. But what we've been doing on the doorstep through the campaign is saying to people, whatever your views on UKIP, on Europe and the other things that UKIP identify themselves with. This is about a local election. This is about whether you want the Conservative Party, who've been running this county for these last 4 years as they've frozen the council tax, have done all sorts of good things, whether you want to put that at risk. Because UKIP would never have ended up running the county. We might have ended up, if Labour had had a respectable night, with them running the county. And people say, no, we didn't want to take that risk. So we've delivered the argument on the doorstep. Yes, people have voted for UKIP. But when you look at the UKIP vote even then, in 2009, in the Euro elections across the Eastern region, UKIP polled 19.6%. In Hertfordshire last night, I know we've not got all the results yet, they polled 18.1%. That's not a dramatic surge. All that's happened is that they've put up more candidates, so they picked up votes where previously people couldn't vote for them.
Rob, if I can just come in, Paul, I think Paul's got another question. Paul?
Well, I mean, do you not think that as a national party then you're going to have to start listening to some of those concerns, because that's already what some of your MPs are saying, like John Barron?
Of course, there are issues which the party always needs to address, not specifically in response to another political party, but we know that people are concerned about the relationship with Europe. We know that people are concerned about immigration and things like that. That's why the national policies have cut net migration by a third, why David Cameron has promised that if we can get a majority Conservative government in 2015 without the impediment of the Lib Dems round our neck in coalition, there will be a referendum on Europe, and those who wish to come out will be able to vote for it. UKIP aren't going to deliver a referendum on Europe. It's only a majority Conservative government in 2015 that can do that.
Robert, one final question before we let you go. Have you got any idea where Nigel Farage is?
I'm delighted to say I'm not responsible for Mr. Farage.
Robert, thank you very much indeed. That's leader of Herts County Council, Conservative Robert Gordon. What's your Farage impression like, Paul? Any good?
Well, we
could have two Farages on before 9 o'clock. This is awesome. Paul, thank you very much indeed. Always nice to have you in here. 08459 455 555. Keen to find out, if you didn't vote yesterday, could you tell me why? There are some people who think that it's a disgrace. I mean, we had an email from a gentleman who said you should be forced to vote, and if you don't vote, you have to pay a fine. Could be going a little bit far, do you think? Or is not voting a valid protest? 08459 455 555. Right, it's 8:15. Here's the Travel News Now with Adam Glynn.
Herts and Bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A120 near to Stansted Airport is still partially blocked by a two-vehicle accident. It's where the A120 meets the M11 at junction 8A. The M25 anti-clockwise delays through the roadworks this morning from Enfield to the A1M, taking you maybe 25 minutes to get through. It is all moving reasonably well. Anti-clockwise further round slow from the M40 to the M4, and if you're using the M40 as part of your route this morning northbound, we've got queues at junction 4, High Wycombe. If you're going a little bit further up the A5, in Towcester, the A5 has been closed both ways. An accident with a car and a motorbike between the A43 at Towcester and the A45 at Weedon Beck. So if you're heading north up the A5 this morning, bear that in mind and maybe use the M1 instead. The air ambulance on way to that one right now. Chiltern reporting delays of up to 20 minutes between Aylesbury and Marylebone. It's because of a signalling problem between Aylesbury and Wendover. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. Right, it's 8:16. It's Friday, the 3rd of May. I'm Iain Lee, and these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Counting in the local elections for Hertfordshire will resume this morning, with initial results showing the Conservatives will retain control, while UKIP have polled a fifth of the votes. The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a travellers' site in Bedfordshire. In sport, the Chelsea manager Rafa Benitez has urged his side to finish the season strongly after reaching the Europa League final last night with a 5-2 aggregate win over Basel. The weather today for Beds, Herts and Bucks: dry, bright and warm with a top temperature of 15 degrees. Coming up, Watford have a huge game against Leeds tomorrow. Do you think they can win? Well, we'll be previewing the match with Richard Walker from the club before 8:30.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Nick Coffer, a Across beds, hearts and bucks.
I'll be in Kimpton this afternoon as I continue to discover the towns and villages that you call home.
Nick Coffer.
There'll be a special performance from the local Amdram group. Find out how I get on joining the school orchestra. There's live music and a spot of wine tasting.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
There's also a rumour I may be eating dog biscuits.
Nick Coffer.
Live from the Boot in Kimpton, today from midday.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jonathan Vernon Smith, he's a crazy guy, looking fly. That means good, so don't be offended by that. Have you broken your nose?
No.
Your nose.
I have got a bent nose. Ian.
It's got I've never noticed the bend.
I know. It's got cartilage that's going a bit wonky.
Yes.
I'm thinking I might have a bit of plastic surgery.
I would get that done. Yes.
Do you reckon I should?
Get a Kickstarter. Have you seen these Kickstarter funds? You go online, you set up a web page saying, "Oh, I need £10,000 to make a film. I need £15,000 to do this." Say you want what, £8,000
for a new nose?
For a new nose, please. And people, you will make the money like that. There are loads of suckers out. I mean, loads of people who would happily contribute.
Would they?
To that. Yeah, I mean, the more I look at it, the more...
I've got friends in Argentina who are plastic surgeons, and for the last few years I've been going there. They keep saying, "Why don't I do your nose for you? While you're here on holiday, I do your nose." I'm not going back with a new... Imagine that on the plane.
It can explode, can't it?
Yes, I don't want my nose exploding.
You hear about people going for these to kind of Germany and Argentina and other countries where they get plastic, they get new boobs. You
have boobs done.
You hear about people's boobs exploding on aeroplanes.
Oh, no, I don't want that.
And noses exploding, and people go for a friend of mine or a friend of a friend. So went and had their teeth done, their wisdom teeth done. Okay, and then as they were coming back, where they'd had the teeth ripped out, they exploded. Blood everywhere. On a plane. Imagine that. Imagine you're sat next to someone on an airplane and they're wondering their teeth explode and there's blood everywhere just dripping out of their mouth. Excuse me, can I move? This guy's got blood everywhere. So I would not recommend... Go on a cruise.
I want to go on a cruise.
Why?
I wouldn't want to go on a cruise if I wasn't going to have plastic surgery.
You know, you strike me as the sort that would actually love a cruise.
No, I wouldn't. It's my idea of hell.
Oh, I bet you would.
All that bacteria.
What?
Yeah, all the door handles.
What?
People always get ill on cruises, don't they? They get stomach bugs.
People get ill on aeroplanes because you're breathing the lurgy that the fella in the back row's got.
I often get ill after an aeroplane flight.
Yes.
Which, if I'd had my nose done as well, imagine that.
Oh, gosh. So what we're saying is don't go to Argentina for the nose, but, I mean, that could be an NHS jobby. Seriously. Seriously. Or...
You are wicked, aren't you? Awful.
Isn't there... Could the BBC not pay for it? It's your career.
Because I've got a wonky nose. I think my wonky nose I might just have to live with.
Really? I mean, I could give you a knuckle sandwich.
Punch me, so break it the other way.
It's worth... I'm sure there are one or two listeners, maybe this is what we could do, one or two listeners that would queue up to give you a smack in the face just to try and straighten your nose.
Oh, you're being very mean.
No, I'm not being mean. I love you. You're looking very smart.
Thank you.
Oh, I've just had the click in my ear.
Good, thank you, producer Laura.
Yes,
I wonder when I might be saved from this.
What's on your show this morning?
Coming up at 9 on the Big Phone, and I'm going to be asking, are you worried or pleased about the rise of UKIP? The UK Independence Party has recorded its best ever set of election results. So far, it's won more than 40 seats in the county council elections. The Conservatives have lost control of Gloucestershire and Lincolnshire, but have retained control in 5 counties, including Hertfordshire. Well, most of the counts, including Buckinghamshire, they're taking place a little later on today, so we'll have to wait to get the full picture. But it does appear nationally the UK Independence Party are on the rise. They're doing very well. Some analysts have been describing it as a historic result for the UK Independence Party. Well, from 9 this morning, I want to hear your reaction to this. Are you worried or pleased about the rise of UKIP? 08459 455 555. Perhaps you agree with Ken Clark, who described them as a bunch of clowns, and you think the very idea of them getting any kind of power is just awful. Or perhaps you think they shouldn't be underestimated. They're the sensible ones. They are the ones that know what's best for our country, and it's about time people started to get behind them. Your view from 9.
Can you do a Nigel Farage impression? He's supposed to come on the show, but we've lost him.
No, I can't. I can't even think how he sounds.
It's always like that, isn't it?
Whoa.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Did you hear that cackle? Sorry, producer Laura's giving me very evil stares. You won't be here in a few weeks, so stir as much as you want, love. Now, as many of you will know, I love football. I don't know a lot about it, but even I sat up in the meeting yesterday when I heard how much Watford's game against Leeds tomorrow could be worth to the club. If the results go Watford's way, they could be back in the top flight of English football, worth an estimated £128 million to the club. Well, Justin Dealey has been speaking to fans ahead of the match.
The boys will be quite confident going into the game. 3-1 Watford, Troy Deeney to score first.
What's going to happen at Hull, though?
Cardiff do us a favour up there. Cardiff will win 1-0.
Well, James, are you an emotional wreck before this big game on Saturday?
Yeah, it's the usual stress. You never know where it's going to go.
And how excited are you about this weekend?
I'm very excited, can't wait. But on the other hand, the last game had me in a bit of a wreck on the edge of the seat, so we'll see.
I think we could do it after our last 3 games, and I think even if we get into the playoffs, we'll do it.
Describe your nerves. Show me your fingernails.
They're very short at the moment. They're worn down to my knuckles, but...
If you don't go up this weekend, obviously you're going to be in the playoffs. That's still a great achievement for the club. Do you think you can still go up via the playoffs?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, when we string it together properly, and I do think we can beat any side in the playoffs.
Having started the season thinking if we avoided relegation, it'd be quids in, we're not going to be disappointed if we get to the playoffs. And I think if we get to the playoffs, we'll do well.
Well, that's the fan speaking to Justin Dealey earlier on. Richard Walker is head of supporter communication and sales at the club. Morning, Richard.
Hi, Ian. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well. How are you feeling about this? Nervous?
Yeah, I think that's a fair emotion. This has been possibly the longest and the busiest week in our history.
You're all right. You're a bit hoarse. Are you okay, Richard?
Yeah, fine, Ian. Yeah.
It could be worth. Is this true? £128 million to the club.
Yeah, that's right. Because promotion itself means £68 million in the new Premier League TV deal.
Wow.
And even if we got relegated. In the first season, the parachute payments spread over 4 years for relegation are worth £60 million. So this is not someone concocting some figures based on increased commercial revenues. That's really the size of it.
And that could obviously be completely changing for the club. If you don't get promoted tomorrow, what do you need to do? Sorry, you need to get a higher score than Hull, is that right?
We need to get a better result than Hull City. Basically, if they lose, we can draw. If they draw, we need to win.
And if you don't get promoted tomorrow, there's still the playoffs. So, seriously, Richard, what do you think your chances are?
I would say 50-50 tomorrow because we're relying on another result. I think the main thing tomorrow is that Watford win because what you wouldn't want to happen is Hull not win and Watford don't take their chance to win the match. So if you win the match and you don't go up, well done Hull, and you go into the playoffs full of confidence.
Well, Richard, listen, I wish you the best of luck. Enjoy the weekend, and hopefully we'll be speaking on Monday or next week with some good news for Watford.
We'll try, yeah, thank you.
Richard, thank you very much indeed.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Right, we've been talking about this yesterday, a little bit today, that there have been a significant number of infant deaths and deformities due to cousins marrying cousins. A fifth of all infant deaths, there were 20 deaths of children between 2009 and 2011 from this. Well, Inzo's from Stevenage. Morning, Inzo.
Hi, Ian. Good morning.
Good morning. What's your take on this?
Well, I come from the Asian community myself, and as I said to the radio station that my oldest brother married a cousin, and they have 3 wonderful, healthy kids.
Well, that's very lucky on their part.
I don't think it's luck. I think I'll take your argument. I heard you earlier when I was on my way to work about science and the fact that the councillor was blatantly ignoring the question. And quite simply, I would like to pose the question taking the science approach. Till today, science has not proven or explained how come a pomegranate seed turns into a pomegranate with those red seeds or pips inside arranged in compartments. So
Sorry? Sorry, are you comparing the science of genetics with a pomegranate?
Well, I'm taking the approach that science is not always correct. I mean, we relied heavily in your argument with the fact that I think the councillor was ignoring the science.
But Inzo, science may not be able to explain why a pomegranate seed turns into a pomegranate, but it is able to explain why people who are closely related marrying each other, it weakens genes and can cause genetic deficiencies and death. Science has explained that with facts.
Yes, fair enough. Science has explained it, but not to the point where it's become a matter of extreme concern.
Hang on a minute. Inzo, hang on a minute. In Luton, okay, between 2009 and 2011, 98 children died, okay, right? 20 of those were because of genetic defects, because cousins had married. 20 deaths over 2 years. Is that acceptable?
Obviously not. Even 5 deaths would not be acceptable.
If we can stop that, science has proven that we can stop that. Science has proven we can stop that by not allowing cousins to have children.
So is science going to dictate to culture now? Because
no.
Hundreds of years and centuries within the Asian community worldwide, it's been an accepted case. And I think you yourself mentioned earlier that it was common practice in Europe or in Great Britain.
It was
phased out.
It was, but then we realised that children were dying because of it. You've just contradicted yourself, Inzo, because you said that those 20 deaths isn't acceptable, but then you said it is acceptable for cousins to continue marrying and having children.
No, let me clarify. I did not say it's acceptable. I think any death, as a father myself of 3, I know exactly what it's like, and having kids and obviously losing kids with sister-in-laws that have.
But you'd allow cousins to continue having kids.
Well, you said 20 deaths in 2 years.
Yeah.
Has science and research counted the number of deaths prior to the 2 years? What about from when 1970s?
Okay, but those 20 deaths, irrelevant, Inzo. Those 20 deaths.
How can it be relevant?
Because those 20 deaths.
Focus on a particular 2 year period.
Those are the statistics we have, Inzo, and because those 20 deaths are directly linked to cousins marrying and having children.
And what about the statistics prior to that?
Inzo, that's irrelevant.
There is none.
No, that's irrelevant. 20 children died over 2. What am I saying that's not obvious here? 20 children died in those 2 years, and it could have been prevented if those cousins had not had children together.
Is that well? The thing is,
that's a fact, and I hate to ruin an argument with facts, but that's a fact.
Well, it's good to have a healthy discussion and debate as we are having, and I really enjoy your show every day. But the point is, the approach you're basically denying or excluding, and basically look at it like a racehorse with blinders on to say, well, let's ignore everything else and let's.
But Inzo, you're ignoring facts. You're ignoring the fact.
Not ignoring facts.
20 children died. Okay.
Yes.
It could have been prevented.
Really. And how science could not prevent other illnesses where thousands have been dying.
But no, Inzo, you're going off on slight tangents. We're running out of time, so I'm just going to say this one more time. Those 20 deaths could have been prevented. Those 20 deaths could have been prevented.
Science needs to delve into the culture and produce more information.
Well, science has produced the information that if cousins have children,
Inzo, not conclusive.
It is. Inzo, you're laughing at facts and you're laughing at children dying, which could be prevented.
I'm not laughing at children dying. I'm laughing at the fact that you're ignoring the rest of the information. You're ignoring the cultural practice for hundreds of years.
Okay, I'm going to say it, Inzo. I'm going to say it, what a lot of people are thinking. That if the cultural practice results in the death and deformity of children, then it is wrong and it should be stopped.
And that's your opinion, which you're entitled to.
Based on fact.
You're entitled to.
Thank you very much. You're entitled to your opinion that's killing children, Inzo. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. A little bit later than usual. Let's get the travel news now. Adam Glynn.
Beds, Herts and Bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. Chiltern, we've got delays of 20 minutes between Aylesbury and Marylebone. We've got a signalling problem between Aylesbury and Wendover, so London Underground will accept your tickets for reasonable routes. No estimate for when they'll have normal service running along that line. If you're heading into London on the train, Circle Line Tube running with severe delays. They've got a signal failure at South Kensington. It's mainly affecting the clockwise side of the Circle Line. Service has resumed, though, because it was suspended until rather recently. A120 near to Stansted, now clear after the accident near to the M11. And if you're travelling a little bit further up the A5, in Toaster, the A5 has been shut between the A43 and the A45 junctions following an accident with a car and a motorbike with the air ambulance attending. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Getting beds, hearts and bucks talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:32 with the headlines. I'm Catherine Boyle. Counting in the local elections for Hertfordshire will resume this morning, with initial results showing the Conservatives will retain control, while UKIP have polled a fifth of the votes. The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trial of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a travellers' site in Bedfordshire. And a Welling man's been remanded in custody after firearms, ammunition, taser guns and drugs were seized at a house in the town on Tuesday morning.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Watford have one of the biggest games in their recent history tomorrow as they attempt to win promotion to the Premier League. If the Hornets better Hull's result, they'll go up automatically. Watford play Leeds while Hull face Cardiff. Playing in the Premier League next season is worth approximately £120 million. And if they don't finish second, it'll be the playoffs for Watford. And manager Gianfranco Zola knows it's already been one of the best ever seasons.
I'm flattered, obviously. We put a lot of work into this, a lot of passion, all of us, and to see results like it is coming, it pleases everybody.
Chelsea are in the Europa League final after a 3-1 win over Basel at Stamford Bridge.
Lampard thought about a volley from outside the D, gives it to Louise, he curls it! Brilliant goals from David Luiz! And Chelsea are very nearly there now. That could well seal it, and a wonderful way to seal it was.
David Luiz there with the stunning third goal as Chelsea won comfortably to set up a final meeting with Benfica. At the World Snooker Championship in Sheffield, Ricky Walden leads Barry Hawkins by 6 frames to 2 after the opening session of their semi-final, and Hawkins will need to improve when they resume this afternoon. England will name their final 15-man squad for next month's ICC Champions Trophy at 10:30 this morning. Kevin Peterson's been ruled out with a knee injury, while wicketkeeper Craig Kieswetter is out for 6 weeks with a fractured thumb. Kieswetter's Somerset teammate Joss Butler is likely to continue keeping wicket. And that's your latest news and sport. More from me at 9 o'clock.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555. We got some music before the end of the show. I'm very excited. Ukuleles are involved. Always gets me excited. But before that, have you rung the 111 non-emergency call service that's replaced NHS Direct in parts of the country? Well, health managers in England have admitted that the new out-of-hours medical helpline has fallen below acceptable standards in some areas. Luton was part of a pilot scheme for the system, but it has been delayed in the rest of Bedfordshire until the teething problems are ironed out. Well, Michael Watson is chair of the Patients Association and joins me now. Morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Michael, what do you think is wrong with the way the 111 service was set up?
Well, our concern are twofold. First, about the capacity of the system, whether it has enough people to answer calls, whether it's been properly organised with the logistics in place. And secondly, the basic principle of 111, which is that you will phone up and in the vast majority of cases speak to someone who is non-medically trained. And we believe it is a basic principle of the NHS, or indeed any healthcare system, that if you have a healthcare concern, you're seeking advice, you speak to a trained medical professional.
But if that person you're speaking to, they're running through a checklist of questions, there are nurses there, aren't they, supervising?
Supervising a number of people, and in as I said, in the vast majority of cases, your case will be handled purely by someone who's using an algorithm. Now, we all use computers, and many of us are now well trained and experienced in using them, but we also know that things go wrong, and that not everything can be answered by an algorithm or by a computer program, and you need that trained human input to it. So that's our concern about how the system was set up. In terms of how it's operating, our concern is the sheer length of time that people are having to wait for advice, and also the fact that when they get advice, they're being passed from pillar to post as to who they should go to seek medical attention.
What are some of the stories you're hearing about the length of time people are having to wait?
We've heard a number of stories around people that are waiting 10 to 13 hours for a response to what should be quite a simple concern, and that's really worrying to us. People that can't get through to the system when they're phoning up, and people who are, as a result, going to accident and emergency services, to use accident and emergency services when they don't really, in the strictest terms, need to. And I think that is why we're seeing such an increase in demand for accident and emergency services at the moment.
Michael, how can this situation be sorted out? What would you like to see done?
There needs to be an urgent review of the system and look at both the logistics of how calls are answered in terms of the computer programs in place to do that and the length of time people are waiting, but also who is answering the calls. And we completely recognise that it's going to be very difficult to reverse the situation now and ensure that every call is answered by a medical professional, but we'd like to see that ratio go up considerably so that you have much more chance, if you need to, of speaking to a medical professional.
Michael Watson, Chair of the Patients Association, thank you very much.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
We've been asking, did you vote yesterday? And if not, why not? Not a judgment, I'm just keen to know. Some of you have been commenting this on Facebook, facebook.com/BBC3CR. Steve says, probably too much effort. We never had an election yesterday, but I always vote. Gary says, why put yourself out and vote when they don't give two hoots about you? How did that slip through the swear filter? Anthony says, if you don't vote, don't moan. Stephen says, we only had one leaflet through the door this year from the Conservative candidate. It seems the politicians can't even be bothered. We both voted. I'm totally fed up with politicians making claims about why we vote the way we do without asking us. I also hate the way they avoid the questions answered and come up with phrases like, I think what people are really worried about is blah, 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 blah. The thing that annoys me about politicians is when you ask them a question about the health service. Well, the Labour government, when they were before us, no, what are you doing now? Well, yes, before we came in, and both parties do it. All parties do it. It's so annoying. Lisa, is this true, Lisa? I vote, but what gives me the hump is our vote isn't anonymous. After every election, all the parties who are on the ballot slip have access to who voted for who. Is this true? I found this out when one of the parties were out canvassing, knocked at my neighbours either side. I was doing the gardening and asked why he'd left me out. He shared that snippet of info. Can someone call up and confirm that? 08459 455 555. Back onto the subject of cousins marrying. 20 deaths of kids in Luton between 2009 and 2011. A fifth of the child deaths were because of genetic defects due to cousins marrying. Sarge is from Biggleswade. Morning, Sarge.
Hi, morning.
Morning, Sarge. Now, what's your take on this?
Well, first of all, just to clarify, because the previous caller said, like, the Asian community's been doing it for centuries, generations. It's really predominantly, mainly the Muslim community that have been doing it, not like the rest, because I'm from a Hindu background and the Sikh background. They don't actually do intermarrying. Yeah, we have arranged marriages, but that's not sort of like within the family.
It's significantly, I think, even more specific than the Muslim. I think it's significantly Pakistani and Kashmiri families that do it, as opposed to all Muslims. So just to clarify that as well.
That's correct. Yes. And I mean, yeah, we do have arranged marriages, but it's not sort of like within the family. And I mean, we're fully aware of the implications of intermarrying, because the more you intermarry, the gene pool gets smaller and smaller. Hence, you get more birth defects. And even now, you can see like physical defects in people, and you can sort of like pick out.
We've had so many sensible-sounding people who, we've got counsellors and sensible-sounding people who, when the scientific facts are presented to them, seem to come over all funny and ignore those facts. Surely, Sarge, if we can save children's lives by a very simple thing of not allowing cousins to have kids, that's got to be worth it, hasn't it?
Definitely. I mean, the community is big enough not to sort of like marry cousins. So, I mean, I think it's just campaign or something that needs to be done to make people aware, because I'm sure they're probably not aware of the implications, because it's been going on for generations and generations. It's just not probably acceptable that they're not actually seeing the real picture.
Sarge, I appreciate your call. Thank you. 08459 455 555. I think what a lot of people are scared to say is that because it's a cultural thing, that by saying is wrong and it should be stopped, that perhaps they're worried that they'll be perceived as being, I don't know, racist or ignorant or something like that. I just really think, and more so since I've become a dad, I really think that if there is a very simple way to help prevent mental and physical deficiencies in children and help save lives, and that simple way is don't allow cousins to have kids. That seems obvious to me. We haven't got to invent a new drug. It's not like we're looking at a cure for cancer. We know the answer on this. We know the answer. 08459 455 555. Some texts on this. 81333. Start your text 3CR. Put your name on, please. Maff in Hanslope says that chap's views on 20% of cousins' babies dying and crossing the road is as ridiculous. That was the councillor, wasn't it? Is as ridiculous as saying that as 1 in 5 accidents involve a drink driver, it's far safer not being sober. Phil says, I don't often agree with you. Thank you, Phil. But thank you for keeping listening while you don't agree with me. I appreciate that. I don't often agree with you, but on the cousins having children with birth defects, I'm totally with you. My understanding of the figures was wrong. To simply ignore the facts is, in the way that Mr. Khan does, is neglectful. Again, that was the councillor from Luton. A councillor. Ian says, just listen. Ian spelt incorrectly, by the way. It should be I-A-I-N, Ian. But I'll still let you on. Just listen to your conversation with Izar about cousins marrying. That was about 20 minutes ago. Reminded me of the old saying, never argue with an idiot, they'll drag you down to their level, then beat you on experience. Typical faith-based argument that ignored facts. It is. The frustrating thing I find is it's fact versus faith. And people with a faith that I don't have, specifically a religious faith, they kind of always will win because they are blind to facts. Shirley in MK says, Ian, I agree with you, because what they are doing is carrying on bad genes, and when the two cousins' children grow up, they'll marry again. Marry again a cousin. It's called interbreeding, and genetically it doesn't work, because eventually the genes get weaker, not stronger, and healthy, and all sorts of problems present itself, and bad genes are never eroded. It's interesting. We will come back to this again, I think, at some point, because it's prompted some amazing debate and some incredible phone calls. If you missed Mohammed yesterday, what time was Mohammed? About 8:25, I think. If you missed it, do go to the BBC iPlayer and have a little listen. Again, I'll post the link to the iPlayer on Twitter and Facebook as well. About 8:25. The most amazing call. Started out sensible, mature, and then descended to, well, if the cousins like each other, they'll have healthy babies. And if the cousins don't like each other, then they won't have healthy babies. Incredible. It's 2013, right? Have I got that right? 08459 455 555. Oh, we've got some music coming. I'm excited. Ukuleles are involved. Here's the travel news now. Adam Glynn.
Beds, hearts and bucks travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
You just made my morning. I love the ukulele. Anti-clockwise M25. We've still got a few delays, mainly through the roadworks from Enfield to the A1M, junction 25 to 23, taking it around half an hour to get through. Northbound M40, a little bit of a queue at High Wycombe. Junction 4, the handy cross roundabout as you come off there. Vicarage Road in Watford, a little bit slow near to Exchange Road. The A5 in Dunstable, we've got usual queues. It's busy from the Ashton Middle School through to the A505. Problems further up the A5. It is shut in Towcester between the A43 and the A45 at Wheaton Beck because of an accident with a car and a motorbike involved. The air ambulance on the scene there, and there are some delays approaching the closure. Chiltern on the trains, 20-minute delays between Aylesbury and Marylebone. It's a signalling problem between Aylesbury and Wendover. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Adam, thank you very much. And if you're lucky, you've been a good boy this morning, you might have a little bit of ukulele music playing as your bed later on. We'll see. Right, 8:46 exactly. It's Friday the 3rd of May. I'm Iain Lee, and these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Counting in the local elections for Hertfordshire will resume this morning, with initial results showing the Conservatives will retain control, while UKIP polled a fifth of the votes. The jury will continue deliberations this morning in the trail of 4 men accused of keeping workers captive at a Traveller's site in Bedfordshire. In sport, Spurs manager Andre Villas-Boas says he expects Jose Mourinho to return to manage in England this summer. coming up before 9 o'clock, Musical Friday. Today I've been promised a group from Sandy who'll bring with them a double bass, a violin, guitar, 3 ukuleles. Get in there. Here's the weather with Elizabeth.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, good morning again, Ian. It's going to be a lovely day today. Lots of sunshine out there already. Temperatures rising, just scraping double figures actually just outside Milton Keynes. They're going to continue to go up and up through the course of the day, eventually landing at the dizzy heights, I think, of 18 or even perhaps 19 degrees Celsius maybe across the 3 counties. So lots of sunshine around, particularly this morning. A bit more in the way of cloud this afternoon and not enough to spoil the sunshine. A southwesterly breeze picking up at times later on through the day, and then overnight tonight it will feel milder because it's basically going to be cloudier. Bit of a cloudy start to Saturday as well, but temperatures overnight not really dropping below 7 to 9 degrees Celsius, so much milder start to the day tomorrow, but a rather cloudy one. We'll kick off with a bit of drizzle as well, I think, tomorrow morning, but then eventually that should clear. It's still going to be rather cloudy, I think, for much of the day, but it should be brighter through the afternoon with perhaps a few spells of sunshine to end the day, and temperatures tomorrow only at 14 or 15 degrees Celsius, so a bit of a fresher feel to things really. But then as we get through into Sunday and Monday, we'll see a return to the sunny conditions, feeling nice and warm as well. 18 degrees on Sunday, possibly as high as 21 or even 22 perhaps across some parts of Hertfordshire by the time we get to Monday, so really bucking the trend for the bank holidays we are. What a nice surprise. That's the forecast.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
Every weekday from 3, Roberto Perrone with the best local news stories.
I get to meet a lot of really interesting people with the most amazing stories.
We feel as if we haven't been taken notice of.
Yesterday we heard that the bank had gone, but today it's still there.
The cat got delivered up in Kabul. You should be back in the UK in 2 months.
With the best local talking points.
Do some of the bakers have flapjack fights?
No, of course not, Roberto. Well, not in our shops.
Roberto Perrone, weekdays from 3.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Very exciting. Good morning, band, by the way. Hello, everybody. Hello. We'll be with you in a second. It's very exciting. You set up and make as much noise as you need to. Ignore us. We're just doing this nonsense. Now, the counting of the local council elections took place overnight in Hertfordshire. The turnout across the county was less than 30%. Well, why do you think people aren't bothering to vote? Our reporter, Justin Dealey, has been asking people if they voted. Justin, where have you been?
Yes, hello, Ian. I'm in Hemel Hempstead right now. I've been asking people that very question. Why didn't they vote? It was a mixed bag of opinions. This is what people had to say.
So, Jean, you didn't vote. Can you tell us why?
Because I just don't believe in anything they say, to be honest.
But no faith whatsoever?
No, full of promises, and as soon as they're voted in, they don't carry nothing out.
I mean, one of our listeners this morning has suggested that people like yourselves who don't vote, you should be fined. What's your reaction to that?
A bit early in the morning to swear, but no, I don't know. We've all got our own opinions. We shouldn't be forced to vote. Definitely not.
So you don't feel guilty for not
voting?
voting?
No, I don't feel guilty. No, I don't feel guilty at all. No.
And do you know a lot of people who are like you?
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah, I don't think one of my friends have voted.
Well, here's somebody else who didn't vote. Madam, can you tell us why you didn't vote?
Because I genuinely forgot.
Do you feel guilty for not voting?
No.
Mark, we're in Hemel this morning. Why didn't you come up here yesterday and vote?
I was too busy.
And you not bothered at all about it?
Nah.
I mean, if you weren't busy, though, would you have taken the time to vote?
Probably not.
No interest in politics whatsoever?
Nah, not in the slightest.
Let's have a final word with yourself then. You also, like many people, didn't vote yesterday. Can you be honest and tell us why you didn't vote?
I have no confidence in them whatsoever. It's all empty promises, and we always end up exactly the same places where we are now.
And again, a similar point that I put to somebody else earlier. People like yourself who didn't vote, you should be fined. That's what some people are saying this morning. What's your reaction to that?
I think it's individuals' right to vote, whether they do or they don't. A neighbour of mine was saying in Australia, you get fined if you don't vote. You have to vote. You don't have a choice. I totally don't agree with it. It's all down to choice. You choose who you want. If you have no confidence in anybody, then you don't vote.
I'm not sure about this fining system, Justin. A couple of people have mentioned this.
Can't see it working. Can't see it working at all. I think people will be very, very upset about that. In saying that this morning, Ian, I have spoken to many people who did vote. These people are very guarded with their vote. Yes, I did vote, but I'm not telling you, you BBC man.
Why do people do that? I know it's a privilege, you know, that it's a secret vote, but I don't understand why people are secretive secretive.
It's amazing. Every time we do this story, we get the same thing every single year. People saying, I'm not going to tell you. That is personal information that I'm not going to be revealing to you that you can then play on the radio. Very secretive about who they voted for.
Who did you vote for, Justin? I'm joking. I'm joking. Are you up to anything nice this weekend?
Yes, I'm going to be hopefully enjoying the weather, presenting a fabulous music show tomorrow morning as well between 9 and 12. So, should be a good weekend.
Do you do your own show? Where's that?
I do. It's between 9 and 12. It's a music programme. Tomorrow, I'll be talking to Verdon Allen from Mott the Hoople. Luther Blissett picks his favourite musical memories, and we have the UK and American charts from this weekend in 1966. It's all on the way tomorrow from 9 a.m.
Justin, excellent stuff. I shall be listening to that. Thank you very much. We've got to move on, though, because we've got some music. Look, stop arguing, you lot, for goodness sakes. You're fighting already. So let's have a look. We've got a guitar over there. We've got a violin, we've got 1, 2, 3 ukes, and we've got a double bass. Who on earth are you? What's the name of this outfit?
Called Highly Strung.
I like it. Yeah. Should we go around from left to right? Just say hello and give us your name and what you play.
Hello, I'm Eleanor and I play ukulele.
Hi, I'm Andy, I play bass.
Hi, I'm Steve, I play ukulele.
I'm Sylvie, I play ukulele.
I'm Martin, I play guitar.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, I play the violin.
And I have to say, Jennifer has been nothing but trouble this morning. It really...
It's an exaggeration.
It really has. I'm very...
Best behaviour.
If you weren't stuck behind the double bass, I would ask you to leave, young lady. How did you all get together? It's a great combination of instruments. How did this all happen?
Well, we all sort of know each other, and we had a ukulele group based in Sandy, who's played here before.
Yes, we love those, yes.
And unfortunately, I had to close my shop down, the music room, and we lost rehearsal space. So the ukulele group migrated, and I wanted to start a smaller group, which is this one. Because the ukulele group had about 15 members.
Why did the music shop shut?
Oh, well.
Tough times.
Tough times, internet, and supermarkets selling cheap instruments.
I hate that because there's nothing better. You don't see them very often. But having a little wander around a proper old-fashioned music shop and particularly because you know your stuff, going into a shop where someone knows their stuff, someone has got skills they've employed. Listen, we'll have a chat in a second. Have you got a couple of tunes for us?
Yeah, sure.
What's the first one you're going to play?
We're going to play a folk song called Drowsy Maggie.
Fantastic. Let's have some of that. Where you go. Fantastic. We'll have some of that. That was wonderful. Wonderful stuff. Eleanor, can I ask? You look a little bit younger than this.
How rude.
Well, I don't want to be, but come on, they're ancient. How old are you?
I'm 15.
15. What are you doing with this lot? How did you join up with them?
My mum.
Which one's
and
mum?
my boss.
Oh, I see. Are you mum?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry for being so rude about your mother. I can only apologise. And the ukulele, because I'm a big ukulele fan. I forgot to bring mine in this morning because I'm an idiot. But how did you get involved with the ukulele at 15?
To sort of make the guitar easier.
Yeah.
And because Sylvie went on holiday, so I took her ukulele club for her while she was on holiday.
Right.
So I got into it a lot more then. And then she came back and then we both sort of shared the lessons.
The thing with the ukulele is, and no disrespect, it's easy, isn't it? It really is easy compared to the guitar, which is a nightmare to play, I think. The ukulele, anyone can go and buy one. A cheap little, Mahola or whatever for 15 quid. And you can learn a song in 20 minutes.
Because it's all like 4 chords over and over again.
It's a joy. Now, Mum, listen, is she any good? Seriously, is she any good?
Well, I think she's pretty good, but I can't play the ukulele, so I would know.
Can you not? How long have you been playing the violin for?
Oh,
ages.
Since I was about 6, about 300 years.
Oh, bless you. Come on.
Yeah.
You started last week.
Long time, yeah.
What kind of gigs are you playing? Whereabouts do you go and play?
Well, we just started out, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've had about 5 rehearsals. So,
hang on a second. We've been fobbed off with a... With a fake band, for goodness sakes. It's well, look, for 5 rehearsals, it sounds pretty good. Now, I've been given some sweeties. Am I allowed to eat these now? What have we got in here? Please don't let it be licorice. Please don't.
No, it's not.
Oh, ho, 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 I'll have some of this. Thank you very much indeed. Right. Well, I shouldn't have done that on the radio.
Just right for the radio.
Oh, that's very nice. While I'm eating, do you want to play us another song?
Sure.
What have you got for us now?
Drinking Sailor.
There we. Oh, come on, let's have this. This week has taken longer than I thought. I was hoping you were going to do another verse. I love it. Have you got? Is there a website? What do you want to achieve with this band? First of all,
I think it's just for fun, actually, and just enjoyment, really.
World domination.
Well, there is that.
you never know. Listen, but I mean, can people come book you if they want you?
Yeah.
How do they get in touch?
They can contact me on. Well, I'm at the Sweet Shop in Sandy on 01767 691169.
I would listen. I could imagine myself going to a little fete or something and walking past, and you guys are playing and doing stuff like that. It's wonderful. And what can I ask? What kind of music are you into?
Loads, really.
Were you upset when JLS broke up?
Is it bad to say no?
No, it's not bad.
I don't know. You're in it. So, I don't know. I listen to stuff like Glenn Miller when I'm working in the Sweet Shop.
Wow.
Then other stuff like I don't know, sort of Beatles and Killers. And
You've got some good taste. Listen, we're going to go to the Travel. Can you give us one more song and be the bed for the Travel? Would that be okay? You can do Drunken Sailor again if you want. If that's easier. You do that. You start playing. I'm going to go over to Adam, and we're going to get the Travel while you play for us. Away you go. Over to you, Adam.
Nice one, Ian. Thank you. Chilton, 20-minute delays. Aylesbury to Marylebone. Signalling problems between Aylesbury and Wendover. If you're heading further up the A5 round Toaster, it is closed, I'm afraid. An accident with a car and a motorbike involved between the A43 and the A45. So maybe one to avoid. If you're travelling north today, use the M1 instead. Anti-clockwise M25 slow through the roadworks. And really, that's about it. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. This sound good, huh? This is highly strung. They're awesome. There we go. Right, you carry on playing, please, ladies and gentlemen. Carry on. That's it. That's your lot from me this week. I'll be back on Bank Holiday Monday. We're playing What's Under Your Bed. And we'll be phoning up and annoying all the presenters who've got the day off. Should be fun. Back on Monday at 6. JVS up next.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Friday and on